Hello, listeners. This series we are playing South Park: The Stick of Truth. Because this is a South Park franchise game, it contains racism, sexism, homophobia, all the other isms you can think of, and several other disturbing themes. If this bothers you, please feel free to skip over this series. We will not blame you. That said, we will do our best to handle these issues in a thoughtful manner. Thank you very much for listening. Here comes your last time. Last time on Square Roots. Deep in the land of Zaron, the humans of Koopa Keep struggle to stay alive as they are attacked by the wicked drow elves of Larion. Darkness falls as the humans beg their king to save them, a noble king known only as the Grand Wizard. In order to save the humans, the Grand Wizard must get the new kid before the drow elves can manipulate his mind and use him to take the sacred relic from human hands. For whomever controls the stick controls the universe.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Square Roots, the classic RPG podcast. My name is Jim Banks. I'm joined by Matthew Van Zant.
Hello.
John Cartman Lover Brandon.
I love farts and Cartman because I'm from Canada.
And Vanessa.
I'm Vanessa, and I had issued a no impressions ultimatum on this series, but in Johnny's case, I'll allow his Canadian accent.
And this is a podcast where we play and talk about your favorite classic RPGs one chunker at a time. And we are about to dive right into our South Park Stick of Truth series. Hooray. Ish.
Mm-hmm. You're the one that chose this.
You're the one that chose
I
this.
nominated it. The listeners chose it. Thank you.
Right. It's 2022. It's up to you. We included this as a joke on our poll, and you chose it.
Yeah. That said, this is a vote winner in our year of all votes. If you're mad that we're playing this game, or if you wish we were playing another one, you can have your voice heard through our Patreon. At our $5 level, you can gain the ability to vote on the games that we're going to play. We're about to kick off. I think the week this episode releases will kick off our next vote. So if you're not a patron and you would like to be, you can subscribe at patreon.com/squarerootspodcast.
Do it.
Do it.
Well, guys, before we get into all the awesome jokes, awesome jokes in this game, does anybody have any hot gaming news?
No.
I'm sure there must be gaming news. I did see that the 3DS store is closing and the Wii U store. I thought this had been announced before, but it was really because last Christmas there was a fire sale on everything that wasn't made by Nintendo. I was like, oh, this is probably because the store is going to be closing soon. So that's why I bought everything. It's like your last chance to buy games for your Wii U or 3DS. I think you only have like a little bit left to add money to your account. And there's plenty of good Wii U and 3DS games. More 3DS than Wii U, actually. There's plenty of good 3DS games.
There's
Wii
a
U
few good Wii games.
Wii U? Yeah. Xenoblade Chronicles X, all those Zelda HD ones that came out for it.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, everything else is on Switch, like Tokyo Mirage Sessions. Remember Tokyo Mirage Sessions?
Yeah.
No.
I do.
I know that it's still, even though it's like a 20-year-old game, it's like $60, and that's why I'm never going to play it.
I mean, you could, like, find a used copy.
No, I can't do that.
Why not?
That would require me leaving the house.
Oh, that's true, and you're stuck at home, but that's your level up, so I don't want to spoil that.
No spoilers.
No spoilers about Matt's life, and I'm kind of like, what do you call that? What do you call that? I'm vamping while I look for video game news. And
I have
really,
some video game news.
there's not a lot of news, but
I have some
let's
video
see.
game news.
Let's see what Vanessa has to say.
Jenna Stieber got laid off from Polygon. That sucks.
Wow. Polygon's
that's
really
a bummer.
gone downhill.
I don't understand what they're doing, because when I think of who's left at Polygon, I think of Pat, I think of Jenna, and I think of Simone, and that's it. So now I only have 2 people to think of. That's crazy.
That is crazy.
That is crazy.
I don't get it. I mean, I get it. I'm sure I understand why they're doing it, because, capitalism. But hire Jenna Stieber. If you're looking to hire someone to do things,
Oh,
she's available.
I have a piece of hot gaming news if somebody would like me to go next.
Sure.
Yeah.
It was revealed, I think, by Jason Schreier via Bloomberg, but I could be wrong about that Grand Theft Auto 6 will have a Latina lady protagonist.
Oh, yes, and
Co-protagonist?
people are very upset because they're going to have to look
Co-protagonist
at
is what
a
I think he
lady
said.
butt
I think he
instead
said
of a
that there
man
were.
butt.
I think he said there were 2 protagonists, but I don't remember what he said about the other one, if anything. But
You know what would be
Yeah.
really funny if they had the female protagonist, but she was just as edgelordy as all the other protagonists in the game?
That would be amazing. I would love that.
man,
Yeah, but gamers are very upset. Grand Theft Auto is woke now, so you can't play it anymore. Even though it's still a game where you run over prostitutes and take their money, and will probably have all kinds of stuff like that in it. Now it's come, the social justice warriors have it, and so you can't play it anymore because there's a lady. Oh no.
there'll be a lady, and there won't be no more killing prostitutes, and there won't be gay and trans jokes, and
Yeah, they actually went back and removed a lot of the trans jokes from Grand Theft Auto 5, which is surprising, but hey, I'm
Is
I'm
that
all for that.
true?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
You know
The
why? Because
actual,
the libertarian vampires that ran Rockstar have all quit. They're all gone.
Oh.
Now it's being operated like a real company without like strip show nights and stuff.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, that was kind of the gist of the article, actually. It was not just an announcement of GTA 6's protagonist. It was about how the culture at Rockstar has actually changed for the positive. It was kind of a glowing write-up, to be honest with you.
That's all. Because
It
yeah, it used to be
mentioned- That's great.
really
It mentioned the old problems, for sure. It ran through all that,
Yeah.
but it said that a lot of it had been cleaned up. So that's, seems good. I'm interested, I guess. To be honest with you, I've never cared for the Grand Theft Auto games, so I don't give a fuck.
I don't either, and I always think maybe I'll like them
Mm-hmm.
because I did used to play them with a friend who really enjoyed them, and I think that her enthusiasm kind of spilled over to me a little bit. But when I play them by myself, I'm just like, no, I
Yeah.
don't care for it. I do like Bully, and if I have an opportunity, I'm going to put that up for a vote.
Now, that's interesting. I've always been kind of interested in that game. You said that it's kind of like South Park and that it's like
Well, it's about children, and they're very clearly divided into factions, like cliquey kind of factions. So it kind of plays with that idea of role-playing game guilds and things like that, but in a high school setting.
interesting. What are you playing that on?
I'm not playing it on anything, but when I did play it, I played it on PlayStation 2.
Oh, I thought you were playing it.
I think it's had
No.
like re-releases, hasn't it?
I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure, yeah.
I didn't like it at all, but
Oh, no.
it's far too close to the current game we're playing anyways, so
That's true.
yeah. But maybe we'll have like an open world vote or something later. I don't know, that could be fun.
That would be interesting.
That could be fun. But yeah, I always really like playing the Rockstar games, but like certain other things we'll get to talking about, there was stuff that I found funny in my early 20s and the early 2000s that I don't necessarily find funny now. and the jokes in Grand Theft Auto are a big part of that.
Yep. Well,
'cause
I mean,
really
let's be honest with ourselves. The jokes in South Park are a big part of that.
Yeah, I know. That was what I was referencing.
It was an implication, but Matt couldn't smell it.
Oh, okay.
No, I can't smell it.
Aw, buddy.
Oh,
But
no
I really
spoilers,
like...
no spoilers for
spoilers.
Matt's life. We're
Yeah,
not
don't
there
spoil
yet.
Matt's health. I
Spoilers.
did, however, love playing them, and I still do. Like, I think walking around Grand Theft Auto 5, like, with all the updates and stuff, it is the best fake virtual world I've ever seen. Like, it really feels like walking around Los Angeles in a really cool way. But then you just get all the shitty commentary and comedy around it, just like pushing on you, and it's so aggressively shitty and unfunny. I did see let me just go on a random tangent for 1 minute. I did see a video by Noel Caldwell Gervais about Grand Theft Auto, and he basically said that the world is so shitty and everyone's so awful so that you don't feel bad about killing everybody and doing all the Grand Theft Auto things. But I feel like Saints Row does a better balance of making it seem okay to do what you're doing without it just being so oppressively awful.
Saints Row does it by being more of a cartoon, I would say.
Yeah, exactly. It seems like everyone's okay, even if, it. And I do like doing, like, messing around with the physics and car accidents and stuff. I don't like go around murdering people in Grand Theft Auto anymore, although I did used to. That was another early 2000s thing.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I did that too.
So Vanessa, if the humor is less shitty in Grand Theft Auto 6, would you try it?
Probably not, because my thing is I don't like cars or the things they do. So, since the game is very car-centric, I don't think I'd enjoy it. Like, when I play a Grand Theft Auto game, I want to just ride a motorcycle the whole time, or a bicycle, and when I have to ride a car, I get very upset. And when I have to race a car in order to progress the plot, I get furious!
Mm-hmm.
Just let me play the game and be the guy and walk around and shoot things and ride my motorcycle. I don't want to race a car. I don't like cars. They're gross.
Is there a PUBG custom mode where we could do like point-to-point checkpoint races? Because I still think you'd be the best at those compared to everyone else.
Oh, well, that's very kind of you to say. I am an excellent driver in PUBG. That is the one exception to my car rule, because car is my favorite PUBG weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Although I did kill someone with a bicycle the other day. And that was really satisfying.
But there is no PUBG racing mode or anything?
I don't think so, though. I have seen some streamers set up a race in sort of an informal way.
Right. I guess we could do that. We could do a race, just say whoever gets to, X city first wins.
And we could do whatever we want, but it takes time and effort, and we might have some time, but effort?
Paul can set that up.
Paul can do it, yeah.
Yeah, Matthew's coworker is very good at setting these things
Paul
up.
can set it up.
All right. Anyway, so that's your hot gaming news. Does anyone else have any hot gaming news? I guess not. All right. Jim, how'd you level up?
I have been watching a show. There's actually a new episode that just got released a few minutes ago that I'll watch after we record. Nathan Fielder's The Rehearsal on HBO Max. And it is quite the unique and hilarious show.
I watched the first half of the first episode.
What do you think?
That guy's odd.
He's very odd. I don't know if you watch Nathan For You, but
I think I watched half of an episode.
Yeah, one of my favorite Nathan For You bits when he had that show was he wanted to do like a stunt, but he wanted there to be actual stakes. So he put himself in a straitjacket, and it was on a timer, and if the timer ran out, there was a robotic arm that would pull his pants down and expose his penis. And in the audience was exclusively children.
Oh no!
And on site was an LAPD police officer there to arrest him for indecent exposure should he fail. And so that was kind of an odd aside for Nathan. For you is mostly about him trying to help struggling businesses with increasingly weird ideas. Like there was one where he was helping at a gas station that was having trouble getting people to buy gas, so he made the gas like a penny after a rebate, but and he didn't think anybody would do it. But when a handful of people decided to redeem the rebate, he made it so they had to go on like a 24-hour overnight hike with him through the mountains in order to redeem the rebate, drop it in a box like at the top of a mountain. And the rehearsal is kind of similar in that he basically takes people who want to who are like nervous about having to, or they want to experience a specific scenario, or they have something that they want to admit to certain people in their lives, and he stages these elaborate rehearsals for them.
I think elaborate doesn't even cover how elaborate.
No.
Yeah, I watched this too at Jim's insistence. I didn't want to do it because I'm contrary, and anytime any of you suggest that I do anything, I refuse and throw a fit. But I eventually did watch it, and I did enjoy it, but sort of, kind of with caveats. Like, I like it a lot, but you have to be aware of what it's doing, and it's really kind of... It's kind of a reality show, and kind of not.
It's almost like a manufactured reality show.
Yeah,
if that makes
it's
any
more
sense.
about what Nathan is doing, I think, than what the people themselves are doing.
Yeah, so like in the first episode, there's a guy who wants to admit to his trivia team that he actually doesn't have a master's degree, like he said that he did like 8 years before. This has been weighing on him for a while. So he, like... it's hard to explain. Like, he basically gets the guy to admit that there's really one person that he's worried about telling, and he wants to tell this person during a trivia night. So he painstakingly recreates this Brooklyn bar where the trivia game is going to be, and hires actors to be in it, and even hires like a trivia master to do trivia games during the rehearsal. And this guy becomes he's so obsessed with winning this trivia game rather than doing his confession that Nathan is worried that if he loses the trivia game, then he won't go through with it. So he makes this guy do daily walks with him, and during the walks, he manufactures scenarios in which he implants the trivia answers into this guy's head during their walks. It is absolutely wild.
It's bizarre. And when you say he recreates the bar, like, they build a Hollywood quality set of the bar that is like the exact same floor plan. All the details are there. The rips in the chairs are in the same places. It's stocked with alcohol. They have a fake pizza oven. Like,
that was the best joke.
That's my favorite detail, is that like they will make the pizza on the dough, slide it into the brick oven. There's someone on the other side of the brick oven who takes the dough, throws it in the garbage, and then takes a pizza that they ordered and puts it on the slab and then pushes it out. It's so funny. But it's an amazing show, and the second episode is just even wilder, and I'm excited for part 2 of the second episode tonight. So if you're into that and you can handle a certain amount of cringe, then I would say check out The Rehearsal on HBO Max. Vanessa, how did you level up?
Well, aside from watching The Rehearsal, I've also been trying to expand my TV viewing horizons by looking at markets outside of the United States. Last week, I think I talked about a New Zealand show that I watched, which I continue to enjoy. But this week, I decided to try a show from Sweden. It's called Basti Test. And Basti Test is this sort of program where each week 4 comedians come and they sit down with the host, who's a woman, and her assistant. And what they do is, prior to this meeting at the studio, they have performed a series of tasks. And they watch the tasks and discuss how they did, and then the host issues points depending on their performance. Basti Test is a great show. It's very different from any other shows that I have seen. Babin Larson is great as the host. It's nice to see a woman in that role. As we know, many shows are hosted by men. And in addition to doing things on pre-record, they do very interesting things, like this gentleman, David Sundin, the assistant, placed an object in his pocket, and they all had to feel it through his pants, and guess what it was? Great show. Basti Test.
How submissive is David Sundin?
I would say not extremely. He has a very Paul F. Tompkins-y kind of vibe to him, I'd say. I don't know how old he is, but he feels like, let's see, he was born in 76. He's in his 40s.
Okay.
He does have a mustache, and he wears very nice kind of suits. It's a friendly show, I'd say. It seems that the Swedish people are, in general, a friendly and positive kind of lot. So
just don't go to their house and expect a meal.
They will not feed you. They will
not say, not.
I'm not going to insult you.
Make you sit quietly by yourself while they eat.
They're not going to insult you by making you food and implying that you can't feed yourself. Interesting thing about Basti Test, the theme music was composed by the Horn section, which incidentally is the band of Alex Horn, the assistant on UK Taskmaster. And so that's a weird coincidence. Basti Test. You can find it on YouTube if you're in the United States, and probably on television if you're in Sweden.
And this will be of note to our weird amount of Swedish listeners.
We do have a high amount of Swedish listeners. I apologize if I have mispronounced Bast or E or Test. I feel pretty confident on Test, but I'm sorry. Let me communicate it in a way that they'll understand.
No.
Basti Test! Basti Test for you. You watch television.
Wow.
So,
thank you, Swedish chef.
Are we going to ignore the elephant in the room that Vanessa clearly needs to seek help for her addiction?
I don't know what you're talking about.
What's it going to be next week? Fucking Sudanese Taskmaster? Martian Taskmaster?
Oh, man. Imagine all the great tasks they could do on Mars. You know
Why
what?
isn't there an American Taskmaster, or is there?
Well, Jim, it's interesting you should ask.
Oh, God.
There is an American Taskmaster. It was one season. It starred Reggie Watts as the Taskmaster and Alex Horn as the Taskmaster assistant. It aired on Comedy Central, and it was, drumroll please,
canceled.
Terrible.
Oh.
Widely considered to be a task-disaster.
Wow.
Why?
A task-disaster.
Have you watched it?
Does Taskmaster?
I watched one episode of it.
Wow.
Yeah,
was it a task disaster?
It was a taskmaster.
Taskmaster.
No, that's better.
That
a
is
difficult
better.
watch for many reasons. One of them being that they shrunk the show length down to half an hour. So it lost kind of its ability to hang out and be charming. And they also reused a lot of the tasks from the UK show. So if you've seen that show, then you kind of know what's going on. Their contestants were strange. They had that little boy who's on the show about the doctor with autism now.
Michael
It's called
Cera?
The Good Doctor. No, it's not Michael Cera, but that's an interesting guess. Who I don't think has ever been on a medical TV show, but maybe he has. No, it's called The Good Doctor.
Dr. Babyface.
Dr. Babyface, that's the one.
Young Sheldon?
It's young Sheldon. It's
Emmanuel Lewis.
it's Freddie Highmore.
Oh, I know of Freddie Highmore.
Yeah, little Freddie Highmore from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, 2005. Finding Neverland, and The Bates Motel Show.
That's where I've seen him.
Little Freddie Highmore. He was born in 1992, just like
You
Jim.
know, I think we could relaunch it. I like the idea of Reggie Watts as a Taskmaster. You know who I think should have been his assistant? That would have made it better. I'm thinking someone funny but submissive.
Oh.
Derek
funny but
Waters.
Ooh. Ooh. Huh.
And then you just have to, like, select all your favorite, like, drunk history hosts. Like, Paget Brewster would be a great Taskmaster.
Yeah.
Oh,
candidate.
yeah.
She'd be a great Taskmaster, actually.
Actually,
I'd watch
yeah,
that.
you're right. Okay, make Reggie Watts one of the contestants.
I think he'd be a great contestant. He's so creative and has that improvisational music skill that I'm sure would come into a lot of things. I think that there's a lot of Americans that could do it, but not most Americans could do it, if you know what I mean. I think your Paul F. Tompkins would be great. I've heard one of those McElroy brothers talk about doing it. He'd love it. Griffin Newman. Love to see Griffin Newman in there.
Sure.
Lauren Lapkus. You know.
Tawny
there's lots of
Newsome.
people.
I'd like Tawny Newsome.
Yes. Yeah. There are a lot of people who I think could do it and understand that it's not kind of your typical competitive
Questlove.
game show kind of thing.
Questlove's
Questlove
on,
would be great.
on Drunk History and is great.
Yeah, I don't think
Maybe
that Questlove
maybe
would-
John Lithgow?
Ooh. I
Oh,
feel like he's too
interesting.
famous.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Although Questlove is pretty famous.
I mean, that's also part of the problem of airing something like that on U.S. television is that the stakes are so high because there's so much money to be made with all of those time slots that
Yeah.
you don't sometimes have the ability to play around. I could
Look
see
at
it
John
work as
Gabris.
Yeah, for sure.
It is.
Yeah.
For sure. He is a Johnny Boy. Well, okay, he's a real person, so he's not a Johnny boyfriend. A Johnny crush.
Yes.
Johnny
Real
boyfriends
people
can
are
Also a
not
very
boyfriends.
funny guy.
Yeah,
Real people are crushes.
yeah.
Who's that lady who does that Netflix show? And she's very funny. and she has
Not
a podcast.
Nancy.
Nicole Breyer.
Nicole. Yeah.
I'd
Oh,
love to
sure,
see Nicole
she's
Breyer
great,
as a
yeah.
Taskmaster contestant. She'd be fantastic. So yeah, like here's what I propose: Comedy Central let go of the rights, sell it to Netflix or to HBO, let them do it as a special, get some of those people we mentioned on. It'll be fantastic, and let it be an hour. Just know what you're dealing with. Calm down about it a little bit and just enjoy the journey. I don't mind Alex as the US host. He does speak English. Johnny!
Yeah.
How did you level up?
Well, I did watch half an episode of The Rehearsal. The Rehearsal, it's like Nathan's bordering on being funny, and I think that's his deal. It's not like funny, but it's funny in how it's awkward and not funny. But it's not the usual like cringe humor. It's different. It's awkward.
He's
humor.
definitely playing a character. It's funny because I think when he was at some appearance and some lady in the audience it's about Nathan for You. It's like, what was your favorite business idea? And he wasn't in character, so he's like, oh, I'm a comedy writer. Like, I don't have business ideas. I write comedy. But like, he's playing a very specific like version of himself, which is why I think it works.
Right. And I think just the detail of the apartment set and that restaurant set it wasn't funny, but it was so strange that I found it interesting, I guess.
Well, he also kind of puts himself as the object of not necessarily ridicule, but
Right.
curio, as like the curio piece. And there's a show called Taskmaster, which I may have mentioned.
Oh my god.
Right.
And I've said before that a lot of that show would be unbearable to watch if you didn't know that it was created by the guy who is most often the kind of butt of jokes and made to do the most humiliating things.
Right.
And I think that this show is similar in that it's kind of, if it's someone who's presenting themselves, then I don't find it as unbearable to watch as someone who's just mocking others.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I bought some games, like cheap old used games. I got Sega All-Stars Tennis because that is a what do you call that? An undiscovered classic of Sega's recent history. It was like a 2008 game, and it's a really good tennis game. It's based on Virtua Tennis, but it stars like obscure Sega characters. There's like a Space Harrier level. You can play as Alex the Kid. There's a Samba de Amigo character you can play as. It's pretty neat if you like weird Sega references. I strongly recommend it. And if you like a 2-player tennis game, it's a lot of fun, easy to pick up, easy to learn.
Was it again?
Sega All-Stars Tennis. It's only out. It's only like on Wii, 360, and PS3. So you're not going to be playing it on modern consoles.
Oh, okay. So thanks for bringing this one up. Here's a game that none of you can play.
Yeah, you can, dude. There are used game stores all over Florida. I know this is true.
I've
I'm
never
not
been
even
to
gonna-
Florida.
Oh, I wish. Dance Central 3. I got that. I haven't got to play it yet because it's been too hot to dance, unfortunately. But I did play some Dance Central 1. I set up my old
Too hot to dance,
Yeah,
says
it's
the
too
man
hot to
who's
dance.
clearly never heard of the lambada.
Oh, that's not true. You know that I've been listening to that international dance hit classic Lambada. I shared it with the group and with Stan because I was like, hey, Stan, here's the Portuguese song that I've been listening to. He's like, that's weird. I know another song by the same band that is completely different but has the same name. And that's a true thing that happened. But that's a
true
great
story, and that's a great level up. Thanks for sharing.
No, but yeah, Dance Central is fun exercise. Dance Central 3 is weird because it doesn't grade you on your footwork, and that's like the thing that I want to do most is I don't just want to swing my arms, I want to do the footwork. I want to learn how to dance. That's what I want to do. I want to get better at dancing, and obviously a Kinect game from 2011 is how I'm going to do it. So, stay tuned.
I find that with dancing, I can do the feet, or I can do the arms.
Mm-hmm.
But what I cannot do is the arms and the feet simultaneously.
Did I ever tell you about how my friend's like, oh, you should come take a dance class with me? You always wanted to dance. You love dancing. How about you dance with me at this dance class? I'm like, oh, you know what? I would love to learn to dance. And so I went to her class. It was a Broadway jazz class, so basically Fosse style. And let's just say the level was not beginner. In fact, let's say that it was full of professional dancers learning theater moves. And here I was on the ones and threes, ruining it for everybody. And like the warm up for that is the hardest workout I've ever done in my life.
Yeah, I took a jazz dance class when I was young, and as it turns out, dancing is very boring, and I don't like it because I had undiagnosed ADD.
Oh, that explains a lot. Like Vanessa's lack of patience for anything other people have to say.
Hey!
Oh, boom!
I was very interested when Jim asked me about Taskmaster.
All right. So, Matthew.
Yes.
How did you level up?
Hang on. Look, I'm just going to say it. I got COVID. I did it. I got it. and it's not been nice.
What?
It's not been nice, and I can't smell anything, and I can't taste anything. But I'm feeling better, and it was not that bad, frankly. You know,
Matthew, can you smell this? Fart.
Honestly, like that's everybody that I know that gets it that's vaccinated seems like, yeah, it wasn't that bad, and everybody I know that gets it that was not vaccinated is like, I was almost dead.
My favorite thing that happened while you were under COVID delirium is when you messaged us and said you've all had COVID. Yeah. You said you've all had COVID. What was your experience like? When I believe that none of us have had COVID. Matt.
I've had COVID.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, I remember when Jim had COVID.
Yeah, I do remember Jim getting COVID. It's because he went to a Jimmy Eats World concert.
Honestly,
no, I got COVID over Christmas last year.
Yeah,
it a concert?
It was the movie. Remember, he got COVID from going
Oh,
to see.
I went and saw
Right.
that. I went and saw the Matrix.
Oh, that's what it was.
That's
Yeah,
right.
That's
COVID,
right.
yeah.
We were like, was
I'm
it
sorry
worth
I
it?
accused you of never having had COVID, Jimmy. I only remembered the times.
Yeah,
that...
what an accusation.
I got mine from a
Well,
less
a
than
couple
Jake
of times-
concert because that's
Yeah.
Oh, that's yeah.
Hey, Bowling for Soup was there too.
Bowling for Soup was there too.
Yay!
Anyway, I'm all right. I'm tired, but otherwise, I'm doing much better. I had a fever for a few days, I've got like a rash on my hands, but otherwise,
Oh, weird.
yeah. I looked it up.
Yeah, you got
some people get a rash.
Kind of nasty rash.
Yeah.
I got it from the vaccine. And it was like a week after I had the vaccine. I got this rash all over.
And today, even though I've been feeling not great, I've been feeling much better today. At the end of the day, it was so bizarre, just out of nowhere, just lost my taste and smell. Okay, had lunch, everything was fine. 2 hours later, it's like spraying something, and I was like, wait, why can't I smell this? Anyway,
Well, you've
Dear
never really had taste.
Febreze, why are your scent sprays suddenly odorless? I'm very angry.
the good news is I did use all of that COVID time to catch up on a bunch of television, and that is why I want to talk to you about a couple. But the first one I want to talk about is a show called The Bear. You guys heard of The Bear?
I mean, I've heard of bears.
Nope, that's not what it is. Have you guys heard of The Bear, a show on FX?
Is it about a big burly man who likes to smooch?
Nope.
Oh.
It's about it's hard to describe. I guess it is it's mostly about a guy who's like an Italian guy from Chicago who is a chef, like a professional up and coming chef who has to move back home when his brother kills himself and leaves him the family restaurant. And it's about him taking over this restaurant and trying to improve it, and about him and his family dealing with the trauma of the loss of, his brother. And it is excellent and powerful and moving, and it has incredible actors all around. It's got a great cast. It does a lot of fun stuff like in the restaurant, cooking, changing menus. It felt a bit like a cooking show at times, which was nice. Like to see that stuff. It was good.
Matt, is the restaurant called The Bear?
The restaurant is called The Beef.
Why is the show called The Bear?
I don't know. I have COVID. I don't have to pick up on things. But it is only 8 episodes, and they were all about a half hour, which made it feel real tight and frantic, whatever. And it's great, and everybody should check it out. Though it does have some problematic stuff. There's particularly one character, really is just one character who they decided to establish as the scumbag of the show by having him use a lot of anti-gay slurs in the first episode. And then that kind of vanished, which I thought was really strange, how it only was around at the beginning. But not a ton, but it was, just that kind of bro-y. He's a bro-y, they're trying to establish this kind of scummy guy. I don't know. But other than that, it's a super great show. Great story, very moving. The second to last episode is only 20 minutes long because it is all one take. And it is gorgeous and like interesting to watch. The camera moving through this restaurant as all these things are going on. People are cooking food. Orders are coming in. Drama is happening, you know. And, yeah, anyway, The Bear. Everybody check that out. Nobody's watched it yet. But Jim, you in particular, I'm going to harangue you until you watch it. Yeah, I'm going to watch it. It's going to be...
What's it on?
It's on FX. It's all on Hulu at this point.
Yeah, the whole thing's streaming on Hulu.
Yep, and it's fucking fantastic. Anyway, the other stuff that I watch is I caught up on them Star Trek shows. Has anybody else been watching those? Johnny, have you been watching the new Star Treks at all?
I watched the first episode of Strange New Worlds, but unfortunately I set the precedent of watching it with my friend Mike that I've been going on dates with, and now it's like, well, do I have to keep watching it with it? I guess I do, right?
No, you don't.
I don't know, what's the etiquette for that?
He's probably watched it himself already. I mean, the etiquette is what is your tolerance for rewatching shows? That's what it really comes down to.
Very low. Very low.
I'll tell you what, I finished the season of Strange New Worlds, and overall, I do like it a lot. I think it's a fun, good Trek show. The prequel stuff just rubs me the wrong way. Like, Spock's walking around, and by the end of the season, fucking Kirk's there, but at the same time, saying that, by the time the season was over, I was kind of like, you know what? Maybe I like this. Maybe fuck William Shatner. Like, fuck it. And Leonard Nimoy's dead, so maybe it's time to just recast those motherfuckers.
This is Chris Pine Erasure, and I will not stand for it.
Well, that's the Kelvin timeline or whatever, though. It's not the same thing.
So why doesn't it have that one guy? The guy from American Horror Story.
I don't know what you're
talking about. Zachary Quinto. That is the Kelvin timeline. I just said it
because that's the Kelvin timeline.
Johnny?
Wait. So, but isn't this the crew from Discovery?
No. What? Strange New Worlds is set... it is the same Spock from Discovery.
Okay. And that was Zachary... Wasn't that Zachary Quinto? Oh, no, it wasn't
Zachary Quinto was Spock in the movies.
Oh, okay. So who was Spock?
I don't know. Really like.
I like that Spock. But they recast him, right? It's not the same Spock as Discovery.
Or I think it's the same one. I think it's the same guy.
Oh, okay. For some reason,
doesn't have a beard. He looks different. You know, they shaved him.
Oh, okay. That's why.
I could be
My brain
wrong.
remembers it as
wrong.
Zachary Quinto.
I did not like Discovery that much, and I have not paid a lot of attention. I did not pay a lot of attention. I didn't even finish that season that Spock was in. But
that was a good one, I thought.
See, I have not. Discovery to me has been nothing but like okay at best until I watched season 4 this week. And you know what? Season 4 was really fucking good. Super good. Big fan. Best season of Discovery so far. Best season of Star Trek in a long time. Really enjoyed it.
And we're both psyched for Tawny Newsom's Lower Decks coming back.
I am so excited for it. It's the end of August, and I'm planning on rewatching Lower Decks season 1 and 2. And I think I've heard that Pike makes an appearance in this season. And I think I heard that the main characters are going to be making a live action appearance in maybe Strange New Worlds.
Oh, really? Oh, that's really cool. I heard that too. That's really cool.
I am kind of excited about some of that stuff. I have to be honest with you. And I haven't looked. I wonder if they're going to do another season of Discovery after such a rough start for Discovery, where like they have like high highs, but like have had really low lows. This latest season really figured it out and just set them loose, like gave them a problem to solve, set them loose on it, let them do weird shit, didn't have to be beholden to any prequely fucking nonsense, just let it be weird and interesting and new sci-fi, and I really fucking enjoyed it. So, Star Trek, it's good again. Yay! Strange New Worlds I like, but the prequel stuff rubs me the wrong way every time. Like, he doesn't call him Spork. Spork and Clork. I'm fine with that. Why does it have to be prequel stuff? Alright, anyway. That's it for me. And my level up. Sorry, it wasn't about Taskmaster.
Let's talk about some South Park.
Trekmaster. Do we have to? Before we get into the quest log, we have to talk about our long and storied histories with this game.
And also the South Park franchise as a whole.
Yeah. I'll go first. I've played this game a ton of times because it's one of the games that my daughter really latched onto as a game that she felt like she could play and be good at because it's really easy, and it was fun playing with her and putting all the jokes into context, and I've watched a ton of South Park. I don't watch it anymore. Probably stopped watching about, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago. But I've seen a ton of it, and I remember it at the peak of its popularity, and I still think some of the older episodes are pretty funny, and I still think it has the potential to be funny when it's not being so libertarian and preachy. So that's kind of my feelings on South Park. What about you, Vanessa?
I have never played this game before. I don't know if I should say that I'd ever been a South Park fan per se, but my first year of college, I lived with a girl who absolutely loved, not necessarily South Park, but Trey Parker and Matt Stone. And they're sort of like
watched a lot of Orgasmo
stuff.
and Basketball.
She watched a lot of Orgasmo and
lots
of
like that,
Basketball. She watched Cannibal the Musical, a whole bunch. And so then South Park would also be on as well. I think that it can be very good when it's doing something that is a very nonsensical kind of whimsical, crazy kind of things. I love their musical parodies because those two creator guys are good musical parodists. And also, it's trash. So, both of those things exist together. There are parts of it that I think are very funny and insightful. The music, I think, is very good. And also, it's trash. I don't know how to say that in a better way. Maybe a better way to say it is that there's a lot of the humor that just doesn't work for me because that's the way my brain is wired. Like, I don't respond to quote-unquote toilet humor. I don't mind it. Like, it doesn't upset me, but it doesn't work for me as comedy, and that is the greatest sin a comedy can commit, is not being funny, and not everything is funny to every person, and that's fine. What's not fine is being trash. So I guess we'll get to that while we're talking about this game. Matto!
I had played the first day of this game, up to the past where we go in this chunker, because I think that's about as far as I got the first time I played it, and I did not remember much about it, to be honest with you. So, and South Park, I don't know. I think it was on the air when I was it started airing when I was 17. So, I mean, I was a diehard fan for a few years, but I think I got tired of it a lot faster than people did, because it just got.
You're right in that
boring.
Demographic sweet spot for it.
But it got repetitive and boring, and I don't know. That was kind of the biggest sin for me, is that it just got lazy and boring and not funny. It stopped being funny, and that's Matt's opinion pre 2022. Much more, in touch Matt. That's 22-year-old Matt that was still a jackass and was like, this isn't funny anymore. It's boring. So, I don't know what to say. I loved the movie, though, and I still love the movie. I can still watch and enjoy the shit out of the South Park movie. And I think it's just because the songs are so good.
They're very good.
And I do love it when they poke fun at religions, that's
Me too.
That's a real sweet spot. They're able to tell amazingly funny jokes, and this game is loaded with some legitimately funny, great humor. It's just that it's
absolutely
overstuffed with so much mediocre, boring humor that it not landing humor that it wears you down. It's exhausting. So that when something funny does happen, it either is hilarious because you're surprised that you're finding something funny again, or it's I'm too tired to be laughing at this. Like, oh, that's clever. That's the best I can muster. Did you guys ever watch Scrubs? Remember when JD broke up with the girl because she never laughed? She only said, "That's so funny."
That's funny.
Yes. Oh, and I've had women do that to me. And I don't date women. I mean, just women who are like friends or acquaintances. And I'll tell a joke and they'll go, "That's funny." And I'm like, oh my God. What are you doing? Stop.
It's amazing. All right. Anyway, that's
You
my
sentence.
my experience.
You did sentence.
So I don't have.
Matt, you did sentence.
So anyway,
Matt did sentence.
what is she doing to me, Johnny?
I don't.
I have
don't
COVID.
understand.
Stop it! I can't keep up with this.
Can't keep using that as an excuse. Jim doesn't have an appendix, and he shows up every week.
I still
weeks.
have COVID.
He shows up
Actually,
most weeks.
It's day 5. I assume that I'm not contagious anymore. I mean, I'm still locked myself in my bedroom, and anytime I've left my room, I've had a mask on. But
Yeah.
I think as long as you're symptomatic, you're still supposed to continue to isolate.
I mean, I don't know what symptomatic means, though. You know, like I have a
Yeah,
rash,
because
but is
you
it
can-
a COVID rash or is it just a fucking rash from days of, you know? My fever's been gone since Wednesday.
You can't smell.
yeah.
Yeah, but I
course-
think that can last for months, can't it?
I know. I didn't want to say that, though, because I don't want to scare Matt.
Well, but I'm aware
But I
of
mean,
that.
nice
and that's-
work,
and it's-
Johnny.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
and the thing is that it kicked in after pretty much all the other symptoms have gone. I mean, I'm still a little tired and like stuffed up, but this just feels like you know, last like days of being sick, worn down, not COVID heavy. Whatever. All right. Anyway.
I mean, this could be a great opportunity to eat a lot of kale. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Can't taste it anyway. Might as well crunch away on that kale. Yum, yum. Get your iron.
Exactly. Oh, I'll have some peas and raisins
I
and
love peas.
Broccoli.
I love broccoli.
desserts with a lot of berries in them.
Yeah. Ooh, you know what's a good dessert? Kale.
Berries sound. Berries always sound better than they are because they look great, but then once you bite into them, you're like, oh, this is all seeds.
I disagree. They're amazing. You should put them in your oatmeal and put them in your yogurt.
Oh, you can also eat oatmeal and yogurt. So,
I can't. I still won't be able
started-
to eat oatmeal because the problem that I have with oatmeal is not the taste; it's this consistency.
started watching this. I associate this very much with having mononucleosis, or otherwise known as
The kissing
the
disease.
kissing disease. Because I smooched a boy and then immediately got mono after smooching a boy for the first time. And I got...
That's how God punished you.
It's incredible you ever came out of the closet.
It's true. I was sick for months, but so this was, I think, like the first week. I was really sick, so I was home watching a lot of TV. My brothers were watching the show, South Park, and we're all like, what is this? This is insane. But we laughed and started watching it pretty religiously at that point. Like, we would watch every episode. My brothers got those VHS tapes with the Matt and Trey introductions. One of my brothers got Cannibal the Musical and Orgasmo. And so, like, I saw all that stuff, and I was so into it. I was so into the show. Then the movie happened. I was like, okay, that movie was all right. I didn't think it was as funny as a lot of people, maybe. And then I moved to Colorado to go to film school, and that's where I started losing its appeal because people kept singing "Blame Canada" to me all the time.
Oh, no.
All the time, and all sorts of Terrence and Phillips jokes and such. But even then, like, I stuck with it. I was still enjoying things. And I remember there was a distinct thing that happened between seeing Team America World Police the first time and really loving it, and then watching it again when it came out on home video and just hating it. And that was when I really fell off of South Park at the same time. So it was around the release of Team America World Police. And actually, I think the last South Park episode I really liked is going to come up on our bonus episode that we'll talk about later. But it was Vanessa's pick for favorite South Park episode. And so that was the last one I saw that I was like, oh, this is still really good. Because it wasn't shitty. Like, even in like season 3, 4, and 5, like, they were just so shitty to people. Like, I thought the whole thing with, what's her name? Jennifer Lopez was so racist and just unfunny.
Oh, yeah.
And just, there's a whole lot of things like that where they're especially shitty to women, I found, and like really shitty to people that that cared about the environment in a way that just made me so angry, especially now. Like, I think now and in the next 10 years, looking back at that, will be like, what the fuck were you doing? Like,
yeah, they were early adopters of like global warming isn't real, and I don't know if they've switched their position on that or not.
They have. I think they've done more or less kind of an apology episode about all that Al Gore Man Bear Pig stuff.
Yeah. Okay, that's good because I'll like. Okay, and my last thing
what
about
that
South
was
Park.
Supposed to be? Can I say something genuine? We were playing. He's in this game, and I was like, I've never understood what the fuck the joke here is. And I wasn't really.
The whole thing was Al
real?
Gore was trying to warn everybody about something that he made up. That's the joke. And instead of global warming, it was Man Bear Pig.
Yeah, and look at us now.
But Man Bear Pig is real in the show.
Man Bear Pig wasn't real in the show. Wasn't real in the episode.
Oh, really? I don't know. I don't remember. See, that's at that point I was like,
he's in the show now.
I was watching it half-heartedly at that point.
So my big thing is like, it was super against my own politics. I never found the super racist stuff funny at all. And it just really doubled down on being shitty to women and gays and stuff in a way that, and there's more to it than that. I think that it was like one of the first shows that embraced a trans character in an interesting way.
I mean, I was going to say,
so it's complicated.
I walked away for a minute, but you were saying that you didn't like the South Park movie that much. And I don't know why, but one of the things that the South Park movie was to me was one of the first, portrayals of how do I phrase this?
A gay relationship the joke wasn't that they were gay?
Yeah, but not really even that. It was a gay relationship that felt like it could be a real relationship. And it wasn't a good relationship, but that, to me, I mean, I kind of grew up in a shitty household, so that type of stuff was like, it felt more true to life, you know? And yeah. I don't want to imply that because they had it's a bad relationship, that had anything to do with it. But it did feel more grounded to me in that movie than a lot of stuff. And for that to be, Satan and Saddam Hussein is pretty wild.
And just also their like pro-Iraq war stuff was super weird and yeah. How can you be libertarian and pro anyway?
That's the thing. Listen, like they're super talented, but they're also super lazy and they're also kind of dipshits. I mean, yeah. It's a real
I mean the show started as
how can you get it wrong so many times?
Well, the perspective of it was like, we're outsiders, but it became so successful so quickly that by the second season, essentially, it was like comedy establishment.
Yeah, I mean, they already had...
I think they...
Sorry.
And I think they've really tried to maintain that, like, we're outsider attitude while benefiting from every, like, establishment studio system that there is.
I mean, Jim...
Which is fine. I don't begrudge their success, but I also think that if what you're trying to do is, like, stick it to the man, you have a difficult time doing that when you're benefiting from the systems.
Yeah, as Jim told me something shocking last night that he wanted to bring up on the show, which was about...
What was it?
The $900 million streaming rights.
Oh, right. Yeah. The Trey Parker and Matt Stone signed a deal with Paramount worth $900 million. Essentially, like, they were some of the first people in Hollywood to essentially protect their rights to stream the content that they create in a way that really nobody else did. So they've been kind of monetizing streaming way before anybody else, and so they were able to they've made hundreds of millions of dollars off of streaming rights and like forward-looking content, like ink deals for, like, the deal they signed last year was for, like, you know, streaming for South Park. It was for a couple new movies, a new video game. It was a huge deal, one of the biggest ever. And so, yeah, they've just been kind of savvy in that way when it comes to, like, their content on the internet.
And the last thing I want to say about why I turned off from South Park after being a big fan was the like, you know, All in the Family had Archie Bunker, who was supposed to be an idiot and all his views were wrong, but then, like, all the dum-dums love him and still bring him up in memes as, like, a voice of reason. Mm-hmm. And Cartman's the same thing. It's like, oh, no, he's a parody of racist people. No, he's not. Racist people love him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't think people use him as, like, an example of, like, a good thing, though. I think if you see a meme with Cartman in it, the takeaway is this person's a fucking idiot.
Yeah, it's not like Archie. Yeah. In that way, it's different than Archie Bunker, where some people really just did not understand that show.
Yeah, I mean, they had to take it. I think I actually think that ties into some of the stuff they did later, like the Scott Tenorman episode, where they take Cartman to insane extremes. Just
was a real turning point for his character, actually, that episode, where they took him from being kind of a little stinker into a murderous psychopath.
Yeah.
Well, it's, you know, it's
I'll tell you what,
to think.
Little Stinker's a lot more fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, yeah, I hated that. Like, that was
Please.
I hated that episode. Anyway.
It's so cruel. I don't like cruelty for cruelty's sake, and they do that a lot with Cartman.
Yeah. I think it's difficult to think or talk about South Park outside of the sort of context of it being created in the late 90s, which were a pretty hopeful time, I would say, like in general, and before the sort of meme lulz culture. It's just it's a different thing, especially when you look at, like, pre-Trump, post-Trump, and I don't want to get super political about this, but for me at least, the humor of South Park was always, we're making fun of these sort of racist, sexist, broad archetypes that don't really exist in a way that impacts the world anymore.
Yeah, that's an excellent point.
Like, the KKK isn't around and they aren't going to come bother you. And then now we have, you know,
KKK
Charlottesville
rallies.
And the Proud Boys and KKK rallies and, like, racist dog whistles all over.
Nazis and fucking
I haven't seen a ton of the. I haven't really seen any of the newer episodes. I don't think, maybe one or two, but I did watch their pandemic special that they did as part of their new streaming deal, and it's actually, they seem to be, and I don't want to give them too much credit, but it does seem like they're maybe growing up a little bit in the sense that, like, they're kind of leaning on the characters that they've established for a lot of their humor, which I think is great, rather than being, like, overtly political or trying to be very messagey, which I think is good.
I just realized that Cartman is an opposite Stewie, you know? Like, I hated Stewie when he was like, I'll kill my mother and I'm a mastermind. But then after a couple of the seasons, they were just like, he's just like a little gay kid. And then it was fun. And he was just had adventures with the dogs. With the dog?
Yeah.
And there was some good stuff there. And Cartman's like the opposite. Like, he was like, he's just like a little asshole. And then they were like, he killed somebody. And, like, there straight up was an episode. I think that it was the joke that it was Ginger, it was about Gingers and not Jews. But didn't he fucking, like, straight up organize a Holocaust at South Park in an episode? Like,
he tried to when he was making fun of gingers, so when he was asleep, they colored his hair red and painted freckles on him, and he tried to organize the gingers into subjugating people who are not gingers.
Right.
And there is a difference between artistic intent and artistic impact. And I want to say that I recognize that. However, it's been like 25 years, and I think these people know how their work is being utilized.
I remember back in, was it 2015, 2016, when they're like, oh, we're not going to make fun of Trump because he's already a joke. It's, okay, why? Why suddenly not Trump? Why?
Yeah.
Why is that? That's so fucking cowardly.
Yeah.
You fucking cowards.
Then again, everybody said the Book of Mormon was really good, so I don't know.
I'll skip it.
I mean, I did because I don't go to plays, unfortunately. Just not
It's
a
musical,
thing.
not a play.
Listen, if I lived like in New York where there was like a scene, yes. But here you got to go to the fucking thing in Tampa. It's all the upper crust. It's gross. I don't want to be there.
Upper crust.
Yeah, man.
No way, dude. Theater is just like middle class at best.
No way. Those tickets are fucking outrageous in Tampa.
Ticket prices are very, very high these
I'm
days.
sure they're high everywhere, yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
let's get into the. Oh, sorry.
It's
Nope.
really not
Let's get into the quest
Yeah.
log.
Let's get into the
Yeah.
quest log.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I was gonna tell you
That's
about ticket pricing on
full
Broadway.
hour before we got to the quest log, ladies and gentlemen. One full hour.
That's
The
not
good
that
news
unusual.
The good news is, there's not a lot to talk about. There's just not.
Nope.
This is short.
I've never played this game before. I had been, that was already my post Team America second viewing, where it's like, I'm not really into them anymore. What about y'all?
I've played this game now, and I've finished this game at this point because I love it, and this is the best game we've ever played for the show.
Keep
and
telling.
I'm excited to talk about
Tell
it.
us more.
Wow.
Tell the truth. Be honest. You played this game and you loved it so much you've already finished it, and what?
And what,
And
Vanessa?
downloaded the sequel and started that.
I actually bought the sequel with the game because the bundle was on sale for $23, and the game was $30 standalone.
I just upgraded my PlayStation Pass membership because they're both free with the
Ooh, yeah.
PlayStation Deluxe Pass.
Yeah, I thought it was on Xbox earlier. Like, I'm sure it used to be, but it's not now. Anyway.
Yeah, it was cheaper for me to like buy the upgrade for the rest of the year than to buy the game.
That's what I did.
So, the game starts with the character creator, but it does not allow you to pick your sex.
Gender.
Oh, gender.
Yeah.
It does not
you're
allow you to
just
pick your
the
gender.
new kid.
Your little
Yeah,
boy.
that was a weird choice.
Yeah, it's your little
It is a
boy.
weird
All of the
choice.
all the hair, all of the everything is boy centric.
Though I will say,
Yeah.
and this is the only time I'll talk about the sequel, there is a point in the sequel game, you're playing the same character, where you can select your gender, and if you say that you're a girl, as I did, Mr. McEnany or whatever his name is like, but we all thought you've been a girl this whole time? And you can just be like, yes. So I liked that retconning.
One of the funnier things in the sequel is that at certain points in the game you have to go talk to Mr. Mackey and he'll ask you something else about like how you identify, like are you gay or are you cisgender? And every time you pick something new when you leave the school, a bunch of rednecks will roll up to you in a truck and challenge you to a fight.
I love
like
that.
it doesn't matter
Yeah.
what you pick. And
No,
they're
they
like,
rolled up
oh,
on
look
me
at
and-
this. Look at this cisgender girl walking
Yeah, they ran
around.
up, they're like, well, if it isn't a little cis girl, we don't take kindly to your type around here.
It's funny. That's a good joke.
And that's a very good example of making fun of the sexists, not the sexism.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Jim mentioned to me, and I don't think he mentioned it a few minutes ago, that I think you said that the game that you mentioned in the deal is going to be the third in the series, right? They're doing another one of these.
Yeah, I don't know that they haven't really released a lot of details on it yet. I'm not even sure if it's in development, but I would assume that it would be somewhat related to these.
Interesting. I wonder if they'll continue the story of the new kid.
I don't know. But so yeah, we create our character. There's not a ton. I mean, it's all cosmetic options, right? Hairstyle. There's some like makeup, glasses,
all of the
clothes. And
almost
stuff.
all the South Park children are the exact same shape.
Yeah, and you can continue to customize your character along the way. You can buy other accessories and wigs and all kinds of stuff. So.
I made a little emo boy. He's very pretty, and my goal is to finish the game as the prettiest boy in the land.
How can you do that? Kenny is the prettiest in the land.
That's true.
Wait,
It's tough.
nope. Kenny's the prettiest maiden in the land.
That's right.
Well, let's talk about that. So it's character creator, and then there's a cutscene.
Yeah, the setup is that you're the new kid in town. You've just moved to town. You've got everything into your house that day, and your parents say something cryptic at the beginning where they're like, "Oh, they'll never find him here."
I love that. That was a good joke.
Yeah. And then they give you a couple bucks if you remember to pick it up off the counter. You get $2 right off the bat, and they say, "Go make some friends."
I had made $200
so
by the end of day one.
Yes, you can. It's very easy to get money in this game, which is nice. And as soon as you leave your house, you run into Johnny's favorite character, Butters, getting accosted by an elf.
I do want to say that this game looks indistinguishable from a South Park episode.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very impressive. It's impressive, but also unimpressive because South Park looks so fucking like bland and shitty, but the game captures it perfectly. So I wanted to mention the opening cinematic that Vanessa used as the last time on is this great throwback looking, it looks like a rotoscoped animated feature from the 80s that then suddenly Cartman is in as a wizard.
What's the name of that guy who did like the Lord of the Rings
Bakshi.
and all that?
Ralph
Bakshi.
Bakshi. It looks like a Ralph Bakshi. It looks like Spider Knight. Spine of Night. God damn, you've made me say it wrong now. That reminds me, I got an AMC subscription. I need to rewatch it. It's on AMC. Anyway, that opening thing, which is just kind of setting up the Dungeons and Dragons aspect of or what is it, LARP aspect of the lore aspect of the game is really well done. And I was like, wow, what a great start. And then you meet Butters, and he's dressed like a little paladin, and he's being beaten up by a boy that's dressed like a little elf.
Yeah, I like that when you go confront the boy, you like kind of punch him in the arm, and the kid just cries and runs away.
Yeah, he's like, "No fair, that's not how you play."
Yeah. And then Butters takes you to... I think Cartman actually sent Butters to get you. And so Butters takes you to Cartman's house, where Cartman has set up his like little wizard encampment in his backyard for his kingdom. And this is where you get to name your character.
Do you get to name your character?
Yeah.
You can put in whatever name you want, but it's always gonna default to douchebag.
Wow.
Isn't that hilarious?
What did you name your character, Jim?
I mean, it's fine.
I actually typed in douchebag to see what would happen, and it's just still douchebag.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was
What
pretty
did you name
funny.
your character, Johnny?
Douchebag? No, I think, I don't know, probably like Gastophone or Digalas or something. I don't know. I like using weird Frenchy sounding names.
What did you name your character, Matt?
That
I named my little boy Paul Williams.
is perfect.
So after you name your character, Cartman tells you about the Stick of Truth, which is a stick that they tells you has the power to control the universe, and that their faction is currently in control of the stick, which means that they're winning. But it also means that the elves have their eye on it. So it's on you to help Cartman's kingdom recruit 3 more heroes for their side before the elves can mount an attack. There's a couple things you can do here. Oh, yeah, sorry. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I like the setup. I like these little kids playing their game. It feels very sort of 80s in like a Goonies kind of way, or an It way, where you have all these kind of unsupervised kids running around town doing this town-wide game together, essentially. Like, it's exactly like Earthbound, actually, and I think that if you look at the history, this game was intended to be Mother 4, and then they made it a South Park game.
Yes, that's
Totally
right.
true.
Obsidian.
It was originally going to be, the translation of Mother 3 everyone's always wanted. Like, oh, let's do Mother 4, but let's make it South Park.
And it's Dungeons and Dragons now.
And you meet, so there are a couple other characters here. Like we said, Butters is a paladin. Clyde is like a rogue, I think. And Kenny is a princess. which is never not going to be hilarious to me. Everything Kenny does in this game cracks me up.
I love it, and it's great. And I also was pretty impressed with the way the game, and Cartman in particular, handles Kenny being a princess. Because Cartman says, like, Kenny's a princess. It's just what he's doing right now, which I thought was
good. They said, don't worry about it. It's just how Kenny seems to be rolling right now. And then at this point, you can choose a character class.
Ooh, what'd you pick?
I picked fighter. I've always played this game as a fighter, and I like exploiting the status effects in this game, because if you stack bleed ×5 on an enemy plus like burning or grossed out, they can basically kill themselves in one turn.
Yeah, you saw me exploiting that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Although I was not a fighter.
John, you're a thief, correct?
Yeah. So every turn, as much as I can, I just
Backstab.
Yes.
I just lean on that. Who needs any other things? Backstab works fine. I think I can, like another Obsidian game, Alpha Protocol, which you should have voted for. You can kind of lean on one kind of broken move to get through the entire game.
No, really. I chose fighter, and it's fine. Are we going to talk about the options here? Because there's an elephant in the room.
I chose mage, and it's great. It has lots of area of effect attacks, and you can inflict burn status on people. The only time I ran into trouble with it was against heavily armored enemies, but you generally have a companion with you that can break down their armaments. And that's all the classes, and there are no other classes.
So nobody
Although
chose
if there was a fourth class, let's say hypothetically, I would be curious how our Jewish listeners feel about that. I'm very interested. If you want to email us or message me, maybe they do. I don't know. I mean, Matt Stone is Jewish, but still, it seems questionable.
It's a little weird, but then again, I'm a huge fan of the producers,
man.
Like Springtime for Hitler is a great musical. So there are ways for Jewish people to utilize Judaism and the history of Jewish people to great comedic effect.
I just read how the mechanics of the Jew class work.
Let's say the whole word. As community wants to.
Well, that's what they call it in the game.
I know, but let's say for the rest of it. I'm not even gonna. That
class, the way that it works is, there are pieces of armor and weaponry that grant bonuses based on status afflictions affecting the character. So they can increase damage dealt for each stack of bleeding afflicting the character. And then as they level up, they can inflict holy damage against gingers and zombies.
Oh, so the more they're afflicted by the outside world, the more powerful they become. Cool!
Yeah. All right. Okay, so we've all chosen a class, and like we said, we have to recruit 3 heroes to our cause. It is Tweak and Token, and who's the other one? Craig. Tweak, Token, and Craig. So let's start with Tweak.
But first, you have to beat up some.
Oh,
who is this? I thought it was Craig, but it's not.
It's Clyde.
That's right.
Clyde.
First, you have to beat up Clyde.
Yeah. I like these tutorials because it's Cartman being like, "Hey, come over here for a second," and then you like farting on them or beating them up. I don't know why that always makes me laugh. And so, yeah, you get a little combat tutorial here. There's a timing mechanic where when you choose an attack, there's a flash on your weapon, and that's when you need to hit whatever attack button, light attack, heavy attack. There's also a defense timing mechanic where when you see the shield icon on your character, if you hit the block button, it will negate a certain percentage of the damage being dealt. And I think that's fun.
Yeah,
I like the timing aspect.
I like that in a turn-based game. Just give you a little something extra to do with your hands.
I actually don't
Yes.
love it in this because I think it takes it too far in that if you do not land the command, you don't hit basically, or you do like 1 damage, and that frustrates me because I often
from an offensive
don't
standpoint,
want to have to fucking hit buttons every turn. You know, like it's the type of thing that's fun at first, but after a little while, I get burned. Like we played Lost Odyssey, I stopped bothering with the because you don't have to because it's like a crit. You don't have to crit every turn, but in this, like you have to do it every turn, and it gets old.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of Super Mario RPG, which is one of my favorite games ever. So I'm always down for a timing mechanic. I Am Setsuna had it, which I liked. So yeah.
It seems like anytime someone's like, "Oh, I'm gonna make a retro-inspired RPG," they always go for this fucking mechanic, and I hate it. I hate it. Stop doing it.
I like it.
I used to like it, and now I think it's overdone to shit, and I think it's done poorly here.
Yeah. So we have to go to Tweak's parents' coffee shop, Tweak Coffee. And
the first thing that because Jim, I played the game for an hour and a half, and then Jim's like, "Oh, so what do you think?" And I was like, "I didn't laugh once," which is not true. I was in a bad mood. It was not totally true because I did laugh at the parents' foreboding things about the main character's mysterious past, where they kept saying like, "Yes, everything's going to be fine here." And, but I did laugh for the first time since that, genuinely, when you go to Tweak's coffee house and the dad keeps describing coffee, he's like, these beans are hand-picked from the fields of Colombia. Deliciously chosen and kissed by the sun. And like a nice little acoustic guitar goes on. Tweak's dad made me laugh every time I talked to him. I would go up and try and get more conversations out of him because he was really funny.
Handcrafted local ingredients.
yeah.
Oh, and we should say that your protagonist is silent, and the characters comment on that a lot.
Yes.
They're like, "Oh, you don't talk? Okay."
Sometimes adults ask you questions directly, and you just stare blankly at them until they're like, "What the fuck is wrong with this kid?" Which is pretty funny. That's a good joke.
And your parents
And
are
your
like,
parents,
"You going to say something, buddy?" Yeah. No? Okay.
Of course you
won't. So we head to the coffee shop, and Tweak says that he can't go play with his friends until he picks up the package of Tweak Coffee special ingredients. So he gives you the list of ingredients and tells you to go to Kenny's house to get it. And I don't know what are your guys' thoughts on Kenny's economic situation?
It ain't funny.
Kenny lives on the wrong side of the tracks. There's a train track, and the moment you pass over it, it becomes a area with lots of litter, and Kenny is very poor.
Yeah, that's always kind of just made me sad, because not only is Kenny poor, his parents are abusive alcoholics, and he has a little sister who's like the sweetest kid in the world, but is always just hanging out in their shitty house, and it makes me sad, actually.
I feel like Kenny and Cartman, too, I described him to you guys controversially as being poverty porn. And you pointed out that Kenny was the poor one, but I feel like a lot of what goes on with Cartman is coded as being very working class.
It is. He's in a single mom household.
He's in a single mom household.
He's the only
His mom's a sex worker,
I
think.
Yeah, in the newer specials, he is very explicitly poor.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of his arc. Yeah. Yeah,
he's obese, it's like he's not well spoken.
I'll say Vanessa in Fractured, there's a DLC that's mainly centered around Kenny and his relationship with his sister, which comes across as very sweet, actually.
Yeah. Kenny has always been my favorite character, probably because he does not speak.
He does, you just can't understand him.
That's true.
Because his parka's on so tight. But we go to Kenny's house. Kenny's mom says that, oh, you're looking for the people who are renting out the garage. And so she gives you a garage key. You go in the garage, and it's a meth lab.
Hooray!
Hooray! Hooray for meth! And so we have to beat up these meth heads and steal their meth. And we do.
Did think it was pretty funny that the locally sourced ingredient was methamphetamine.
Yeah, that is funny. And here in the garage is kind of one of the first places where you can manipulate the environment. So there's like, I think there's a Bunsen burner type thing that you have to find a way to shut off, and you can, I think, destroy a shelf to make a little ramp to the chest where the meth is. And that's a big part of this game and its puzzles is shooting stuff in the environment or otherwise manipulating it with your farts.
Or your little bow and arrow.
Or, as we'll learn next, Chunker, the beacon in your asshole that lets you teleport around.
Spoilers.
So we get the meth and we go back and give it to Mr. Tweak, and Tweak is finally allowed to come play. And we should say too that there is like a Facebook friend mechanic that's present in this game, which honestly I think dates it pretty hard. But yeah, as you progress through the game and meet different characters, depending on what you've done or haven't done or how many friends you have or what side quests you've completed, you can become Facebook friends with them. And I will say there's a pretty great
Persona.
There's a pretty great payoff for that at the end of the game too, which is one of my favorite moments. So all right, so we do that. Next, we need to recruit Token. Whereas Kenny is the poorest kid in town, Token is the richest kid, and he lives in a gated single home community where there's a security guard stationed outside not letting any people in, and if we try to go in, he will pepper spray us. So we need to find a way to get around him.
Yeah, this felt like an old school LucasArts game. I didn't mind that at all.
It did, very much so. And as you're traveling around, we're running into groups of kids playing Elf that we battle.
And also, one thing that I do like in the South Park games, and when I encountered them, and it sort of goes along with what Jim was saying about Kenny's little sister, all the little kids in South Park, both on the show and in this game, are so adorable, because I think they're all voiced by little kids. And so it's just super cute. Like, there's one where you have to find all the kids playing hide and seek. Do you have to complete that day one, or can I keep
love
doing
those
that?
kindergartners. No, you can complete that when you want.
Okay, good.
But I love the voices of the kindergartners, actually.
So
and I think
cute.
Trey Parker maybe used his own kid for the voice of Ike, if I remember correctly. Like, he had
Back in the day.
He had a young son or daughter that voiced Ike, and I remember seeing like a video of them in the recording booth together, and it was pretty sweet, actually.
Yeah, it's really cute. It's like a little actual... It's like Boo in Monsters, Inc. is the same.
Yes, yeah.
I did like my idea if they should keep Boo being voiced by the same woman, and now she's like, oh, you're because she's probably a grown-up now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in college. Does that make you feel old?
No, I never feel old.
Oh, right, you're 24.
Yeah.
Same age as Boo.
20-something, please.
Oh, sorry, 20-something.
20-something.
So, in order to get past the pepper spray, we need to go to Jimbo's gun shop and buy a gas mask. Here in Jimbo's gun shop, he also gives you a guide to, like, basically special bosses in the game that you can find in the environment. Mm-hmm. And if you complete all of these optional boss fights, then you'll get a reward at the end. And it's honestly worth it, because you can get the best weapon in the game from Jimbo's gun shop later.
Is it a blitzball?
It's an actual katana. And it rules.
Plus, a lot of them I found were just kind of fun. These...
Yeah,
I didn't get the... I must not have talked to Jimbo again. I was kind of rushing through that part.
Yeah, if you go back to Jimbo, he'll give you his like hunting guide, and in this chunker, the one that I found first was there is a junkyard dog boss near Kenny's house that you can beat, and it's pretty easy. but it's worth fighting these optional bosses, and you'll run into almost all of them kind of organically as you're exploring. So it's worth it to get the guidebook and fight them because the rewards are worth it.
The one I had the hardest time with was the cow, because I could not figure out how to trigger the cow. Most places you go somewhere and you lay down some kind of bait. With the cow, there's just a cowbell already there at the farm. And you just have to position yourself in the right position to interact with it.
Yeah, and some of them are actually kind of challenging. There's like an amoeba thing that you have to fight that has super high defense. I thought that one was kind of tough.
I assume these are all things from the show. Or some of them at least are. But I don't know.
I'm not sure, honestly.
I know the cow, like the cows was an early episode, right? Where
so we get the gas mask, and I like this security guard character. I think is pretty funny because he's just like, whenever they need a security guard, it's this guy, and usually all he says is, "Move along, sir." But he tries to pepper spray you and doesn't, so you have to fight him. And it's a very easy boss fight. I think I got it done in just a few turns. This fight is much more difficult in the sequel.
Yeah, for a bunch of kids that are supposed to be playing fantasy stuff, you definitely do like have adults attacking you with broken glass and stuff.
Yeah.
But again, I didn't mind that because it felt like those weird 80s movies, like Adventures in Babysitting, where they're just legit straight up trying to kill children. You know?
Everybody that sees a child is like, I'll murder this.
Yeah. Get 'em.
So we beat the security guard, and we go. Oh, there's also there's also things you can collect in the game. One of my favorite kind of collecting things in this game is the Chinpokomon, which is a throwback to like one of the second or third season episodes. So you can collect the Chinpokomon as you explore
There's a couple of areas, like there's one Chinpokomon in a vent in the abortion clinic or something, or maybe the police station, and it's like I could open the vent, but I couldn't grab the Chinpokomon, and I couldn't figure out why.
You will later.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You'll be able to later, yeah.
You get different exploration upgrades.
Mm-hmm. So I don't mean to bring the sequel up so much, but the thing you collect in the sequel is yaoi art. Because two of the characters, Tweak and Craig, are in a homosexual relationship, and somebody draws yaoi art of the two of them that you have to collect. I think that's funny.
I think that's funny too. I like it.
Yeah, and all the art's very different and very specific, and it's always really funny. So the third character we have to get is Craig, and Craig is in detention for flipping off the principal. So you need to find a way to bust him out of the school. I think this whole sequence is pretty funny. But before we do this, we need to go back to Cartman, and he's going to teach us Dragon Shout.
I do love that it's called Dragon Shout.
Yeah, I love the Skyrim references in this game.
Yeah, at a certain point in the game, they just start calling your character Dragonborn.
That's
true.
true.
Like, what?
or Dovahkiin,
Yeah.
which always makes me laugh.
And so that training where you get the fart training is, Jim saw me struggling with it and was making fun of me.
I saw it too, and I didn't make fun of you.
I didn't make fun of you.
Well.
I stated a fact, which is that John is not good with controller-based
I would
mechanics.
like to point something out.
And
True.
you are not.
I would like to point out something.
It is
this
true.
thing that it makes you do that John was having such a hard time with, haven't had to do it since.
No,
and you can do
it's
it to
totally
knock over
well,
stuff.
No, but it's totally different. Because in
Yeah,
this,
it's
in this,
different.
it's
Yeah,
like
it is
find the
different.
vibration, but you never do that again as far as I know. From here on out, it's just down, point the direction you want it to fart, and up.
Yeah. That's
So
pretty
why
much
does it do
These
this?
tutorials are the hardest part about this. I don't know. I do think this tutorial is funny
Maybe
because
that's
I
the
think
point. I guess.
I think Cartman calls which Scott Malkinson, the kid with diabetes, over to like just stand there, and you end up farting on him, and it's funny to me.
Yeah, to me, it's not. But again, that's just because I have that weird thing where fart jokes don't work for me.
I don't like Terrence and Phillip because they say that farts are funny, and they are not.
They're not. I can't even do it. I'm not going to try.
I am Scott from Canada.
No, it's like
Scott's a dick. Oh no, it's Scott. He's a dick. That's my favorite Scott joke.
It's even worse than if I were like offended by them or thought they were gross. I just have no emotional reaction to it whatsoever, except irritation that it's not some different mechanic that I would enjoy. You know?
Yeah, and I understand where you're coming from, Vanessa. And I think that the spell mechanic, it's integrated okay into exploration. It is totally not even worth doing anything with in combat. You can technically interrupt like if an enemy is doing like a charge attack and they're taking a turn to charge, you can interrupt their charge with a fart spell, but it's not even worth messing with. And the whole mana thing, like if you put too much mana in your mana gauge, your character will shit their pants and you'll lose all of your mana. It's a bummer.
That happened to me and I was not happy about it.
Oh, nice, Vanessa.
My reaction to the fart jokes was like, I said it earlier, like so much of it is like just so unfunny that even stuff like this, like I'm not above a fart joke, gang. I love a good fart joke. I'm just...
It's your signature catchphrase, fart, fart, my butt, my butt.
But I don't know, man. Like it's just, you're so awash with like, you know, Cartman being a little shit and everything's just kind of is what it is. I was just like, I don't know. The only things in this game that really made me laugh were the things that surprised me. And they were never like, and it was never the like shocking stuff. The shock humor in this is done to such a degree that it's like, it's overexposure.
It's missing the shock
funny.
element.
Yeah. I think that's been the problem with South Park since like season 4, is that they hit the top of how much they can shock you. And since then, they've just been trying to do more and failing miserably.
Right. Well, and surprise is such a element of comedy unless you're doing reference comedy, which is like, it's Kourtney Kardashian, which South Park does fall into that very, very lazy comedy trap sometimes.
Yes, I hate that. That's one of my least favorite things.
Yeah, the things that make me laugh the most are always things that I don't anticipate. And as you all know, I anticipate almost everything. I like to message Jim when I'm watching a show that he recommended with guesses about what will happen, and he gets mad that I guessed correctly.
When was the last time that happened?
Maybe with Midnight Mass, I think.
That's what I was thinking with Midnight Mass.
Yeah.
But, I just rewatched that show over the last couple weeks. God damn, what a great show.
I still kind of want to watch it one of these days.
It's incredible.
I want to watch a mashup just of Hot Priest and him doing Hot Priest monologues.
I want to see a show with just Hot Priest and Hot Sheriff.
It would be great. It could be called The Hot Brothers. It could be brothers.
The Hot Local Officials.
The Hot Local Officials.
Okay, so we learn fart magic, and this is where we get Kenny as a playable character. Princess Kenny is now a party member, whereas we just had Butters before.
I didn't use Kenny much. I really found Butters to be pretty easy to do a lot of. Butters has the ability to hit a full row, which is, I think, right? With his lightning attack? Yeah. Which is pretty handy, so I kind of kept him around.
Butters fits my playstyle more, but I do like the Kenny's charm mechanic.
Your companions, they can like die and they'll just be fine the next round. So
yeah, all your HP is refilled after every battle.
No.
I
Yours
appreciate
is
that
not.
in a game.
Mine's not. No,
yeah,
mine is not.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah.
Mine definitely is not.
100%
No,
it is.
totally
Playing
is.
on a...
I mean, I'm positive it's not because I've checked and used the potions to be like, why do I have to do this? But the companion's health is always refilled, but not.
Nope.
Matt's
It's
playing on
all-
hardcore mode.
Yeah, it must be some
Apparently.
kind of weird hard mode, I guess.
Nope. Definitely not.
Because
Matt's
I'm
playing
playing
on
on
permadeath
easy
mode.
and 100% your health refills.
Is there even a difficulty slider in this game? I don't remember there being one, but maybe there is.
Tis. I think you have to go into the options.
Oh,
or
gotcha.
something.
So let's talk about Princess Kenny in battle for a minute.
Yeah, I have something to say about that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Most of these games we play, we see fantastical people with unique abilities, and you think, I could never do that move. I don't have sword skills. I can't shoot fireballs. But Princess Kenny has a move that I could absolutely utilize in life, and maybe I will.
Is it his buddy mechanic?
No, yeah, his charm move.
Yeah.
Describe it, please.
Kenny's charm move is that he pulls down
This
his
made
shirt
me laugh.
so you can see his nipples, and he goes.
And the characters that you charm and that will always just like boobies and then go
Yeah.
running towards Kenny.
Yeah.
And then Kenny pulls out a small handheld mirror and bashes him over the head with it.
He'll be like, I'm coming for you, baby.
Yeah. I do there's just so many really cool, really funny touches with Princess Kenny. Like whenever he shoots his bow, there's not a flash like you see with other characters. A heart will pop up and you press the button when the heart pops up. And one of the things I like about, and they integrate it a lot, especially with Kenny, is they do these kind of anime asides where the animation style will change up and you'll see, this is a little bit later in the game, but you'll see like this kind of anime drawing of Kenny, and they draw him with like big eyes and like there's hearts all around him. It's just so funny. Yeah, it's so great.
Yeah, I love Princess Kenny. I like that when you get to Kenny's house and talk to his sister, she says, my sister Kenny is this and that, because she is into Princess Kenny as well.
Yeah.
Aww.
So we can go to the school now, armed with our fart magic, and we have to defeat a hall monitor. And this is what, like, I like so you beat up a hall monitor, and it cuts to Mr. Mackey in detention, and he has a walkie-talkie, and there's kind of a distress message from the hall monitor saying that, you know, these other students are here to bust out Craig. And I love Mr. Mackey's insistence that like they're not gonna bust you out, and he starts like kind of spewing all of these generic RPG things like, hey, because when you get the brass key from one of the hall monitors, you'll be like, it doesn't matter because you need to get the silver key, and you won't get the silver key unless you open the door, and then you got to get the gold key.
Yeah.
It's just really funny.
And Craig is sitting there and he's like, in 5 minutes I'll be out of this room.
Yeah.
So and we have
like
more
heist,
kind of fun
you just beat up
navigation
everybody.
stuff.
Yeah, one of the things I like about this game is that when it puts you in an environment where there are enemies that you can get into fights with, oftentimes you can manipulate the environment and defeat them without ever getting into combat.
Yeah, that's really
that
handy.
was really fun.
That's a big, honestly, that's something. Please put this in every game.
You know what game I've seen this in before is Sierra's Quest for Glory. It had a lot of situations where you could kind of solve environmental puzzles to get out of combat. It's the only other game I've really seen this kind of mechanic in.
Yeah. I mean, it feels very Sierra, but in a Sierra game, like traditional Sierra game, that would be the only thing you'd be able to do is like shoot the electrical wire and then turn on the fountain or something, you know.
Right. But Quest for Glory
And you
had
get
combat.
experience points for taking the people out this way, which I appreciate, because sometimes in games when they have alternatives, you don't get the EXP for doing that, and I think that's lame. Brain moves get experience too.
Yeah, it's cool that you still earn experience, and I like that because there's different ways you can. And one, it's all optional, and two, there's kind of different ways you can do it, and it's never kind of the same thing twice. And it's really fun.
I mean, it's mostly throwing farts
Only
at fire to explode things.
At this point, yeah, and again, it is very fart heavy, which just give me something else. I don't care what it is.
Maybe burps?
Like-
Would you be happy if it was burps?
No, I probably would be less happy
Wow.
if it was burps. Because then I'd be thinking about all the times you've burped in my ear on this podcast.
Hey,
And
don't
how it makes me cry.
single me out, madam.
Make it urine. I would love to piss all over everything in this game. You know, make it urine, the fart of the front.
Urine
Fart of the
fart
front.
of the front?
I don't want to examine that statement. Moving on.
So yeah, we make our way through the school. We get the brass key, which unlocks a door that lets us get the silver key, and with the silver key we can get into Mr. Mackey's office, which is the gold key, and then the gold key opens up the detention room. But we get a little boss fight here against a very buff hall monitor, which is again very easy.
Yes.
And
All the
we
hall monitors have red hair, and they use gross out attacks by touching you because...
So
they can do the touch of the ginger.
was Ginger, like, South Park really pushed ginger hate in the United States, right?
No.
And the use of the word
I don't
ginger.
remember it being a thing until
I
South Park
do.
did
No,
it.
100%. This is
100%
my
remember it.
experience.
in the United States, not in England.
Yeah, because watching South Park, I thought, oh, that's very funny because nobody would ever dislike someone because they have red hair. So it's funny that they've chosen this nonsensical thing. And then years later, I found out that the people in the UK were all like, better dead than red. We hate gingers. And
Wow,
was like,
I didn't know that.
no, it's true. And I was like, what the fuck? Where did that come from? What is that?
Well,
It's
I think it has to do
insane.
with
Wild.
Ireland and Scotland and stuff, right?
Yeah,
Aw,
I guess
fuck
so.
that.
But then when
Yeah.
I think of like their whole royal family has red hair, but I guess
Yeah.
maybe if you aren't a royalist, then that could be your issue as well. Nevertheless, it totally changed my experience having first seen this in South Park and being like, haha, it's funny because no one would believe that. Again, like a lot of the problems with some of what South Park did in the early days. Now, the humor is that you think that nobody could be stupid enough to actually believe these things. Then when you find out people actually do believe these things and they're like hurting people, it becomes not funny.
Yeah, I think, maybe that's probably a lot of the reasons why I thought South Park was so funny. Even some of the like later 7, 8, 9 seasons when I was younger was because I didn't fully understand the context of the jokes. It's just like, oh, they're just being silly.
Right.
Like Man Bear Pig is silly and Al Gore is a silly guy and it's fun to make fun of him. But looking back on him, they're like, oh no, they're discrediting everything Al Gore is saying about global warming, and that's awful.
Right. And then you get to the point of
I don't
like,
know, man. I was
oh,
the target
actually,
audience,
Al
and I didn't
Gore
get
probably
that from it. But I'm dumb.
like, at this point, we're like, well, like in retrospect, Al Gore probably did get more votes than George Bush, and the Supreme Court decided that Bush should be president. And look at us now,
One thing that you guys keep mentioning is how easy the combat is, and I think it's worth pointing out. There's a reason for that. This is the only game I've ever played that allows you to take a potion or healing action as an extra turn every turn.
Yes, I love that.
That's great.
And so John mentioned on his first stream of this being cranky, and John directed his crankiness at me during his stream because when he was in Twig's coffee shop once, he was shopping there, and I said, oh, John, you should buy as many speed potions as you can early because they let you attack twice in one turn. And John's like, I know that, Jim. Why do you think I'm buying them? And I was like, good Lord.
I'm sorry to Jim and Artie. I was cranky. But I did tell everyone I was going to be cranky because I was having a bad day.
Yeah, you did. I thought that was funny. But yeah, the fact that you can use items and attack in one turn is great. And the fact that you can use a speed potion and attack twice in one turn makes the battles laughably easy.
Yeah, and it's not just items that you can use because every character has a special move. Like you can use Kenny's charm move and an attack every turn.
Mm-hmm.
Or Butter's heal move plus an attack.
Yeah.
So abusing those potions is very easy. And
And there's perks that you can, like, I have a perk on my character that whenever any kind of healing item or like an item like a speed potion, it gives me an attack up bonus. So basically every time I use an item, I get an attack up, and I think attack up stacks to a certain amount, so it just makes my character's attacks very powerful.
I also love that when you change armor, the appearance of your character changes with the armor. Love that in a game.
Yeah.
Mad about it. Crazy for it. And you can dye the armor different colors.
Yeah, that's nice.
And you can also attach patches to your weapons and armor that give them additional effects or damage bonuses, and you can just make your character invincible with these.
My character basically never takes or heals all his damage after each turn.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
yeah.
My character by the end of the game could clear all of the enemies in one move.
Yeah.
That's
You
what I
can-
always
you can
like
definitely-
in an RPG. Is like by the end of the if I'm leveling up by the end of the game, I want to be able to clear the field in one fucking turn.
Yeah. There are long range weapons you can get too that you can add like a stack of bleeding onto, that when you use them, it will bounce to every enemy on the field multiple times and stack 4 or 5 bleeding on every character in one turn. It's pretty awesome.
That's great.
This game probably has the best in battle status effects I've ever seen, because they don't fuck around. Like when you're bleeding, and when you're poisoned, you're like throwing up. You know, like it really does. The extra touches here are fantastic.
There are some really, I like how crude all the weapons and armor too. All the weapons and armor are as well.
Yeah.
Like
They're playing.
Yeah, they're homemade weapons and armor. So, I have like a big club that's like called, the mallet of some. Like I have a big axe that's made out of a stop sign that's strapped to like a post.
Yeah. One of the early weapons that you carry around after your like first wooden sword is is it a highlight mitt or it's not a lacrosse mitt. What is that thing? The curved.
Oh, it's for like
Is it lacrosse or highlight?
Throwing the ball.
Yeah, that's
That's
highlight.
not lacrosse.
That's highlight.
Yeah, that's highlight, yeah.
You can whip your I had a GI Joe that could whip grenades at 200 miles per hour according to its bio. It had tiny little highlight grenades and a little highlight thrower. I lost those grenades in like 10 seconds.
Yeah, because you threw them 200 miles an hour off in some
Because
direction.
you're beating up adults with these things, and they do actually they look like that. Like I could see it, I guess. Like that thing looks like it would hurt. Big old heavy fucking club. You get a big ass hammer at one point that is basically just a sledgehammer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Butters just uses a hammer.
Butters has like a ball peen hammer. Yeah.
I mean, he does just walk up and hit kids with it, which is pretty fucked up.
Yeah, which is not a safe thing to do. Like, kids don't try this at home. But this game, I realized that I love the trope of children's cliques being like different factions. I just, whenever I see it in anything, I love it. Anything that's like, that's where the preps sit and that's where the goths sit. I'm just like, I love it. Eat it up with a spoon. I think it's because, I'm sorry, Jim. I went to a very, very small high school with 30 students total. So there were not enough people to have any cliques.
I had the same experience in high school.
Yeah, because everybody's name and you know everything about them because you're with them all the time. And by total, I don't mean in my class. I mean total. So
I went to a big high school, and I don't know if this is true IRL, because in fiction, cliques tend to think of themselves as cliques, but in my high school, that's not really what it was like. Like, there were just groups of friends, and people kind of called them cliques, you know?
Yeah, I don't think that anyone ever thinks of themselves that way. And in fact, I did have an experience after high school, like a couple years, and I was at a party with people I went to high school with. Excuse me. And someone referred to me and 3 of my friends as the cool kids, and I'm like, I don't understand what you're talking about. But I was like, wow, I squandered the coolest years of my life not knowing I was cool.
One thing I was going to say was some of my favorite episodes of South Park are the ones where they're playing make believe, but they get thrust into these very dangerous situations. Like there's one where there's an episode where they're playing cops. And they get recruited by the police department to be actual detectives and taking down meth labs and stuff. And even as they're in these rooms where these meth dealers are firing actual guns at them, they're still like using their hands and going pow 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 pow. It's really funny. Oh, geez. So we go back to Cartman. He teaches us yet another fart attack. This one is the Cup spell, which is essentially lets us fart in any direction that we want to.
Yeah, you fart into your hand and then you throw it.
There's not a big difference between these spells.
Well, with the dragon shout fart, you can only fart in like a horizontal, one of the horizontal directions. With Cup spell, it can go. Go
Jim,
all,
I know the difference.
180 degrees.
I got it. You're not.
Yeah. Well, you said there's not any
Jim,
difference.
I said
we
there's
know
not
how to
much
use
difference.
this attack, Jim.
I mean, they're both farts, I guess.
One
And
fart
this was
can
the
go
one
up,
where
one fart
I
can
had-
go side to side. Thanks for explaining it, Jim.
This was the one where I was trying for like half an hour to get through the tutorial. Tutorial.
There's a
Missed
fart
opportunity
spell that you learn later, and the tutorial is almost fucking impossible. I bet every time I've played this game, it's taken me like 20 fucking tries to do this.
It must be
thing.
intentional.
I don't know if Vanessa had the same
is
issue,
this an
but
intentional
I
gag
did.
on the player? Like, fuck you. We'll make the tutorials the hardest thing in the game.
no, because you even have to listen to dialogue from the character teaching it to you over and over and over
Yeah,
and over and
being
over
like,
again.
You can do it. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I think they thought it was more self-explanatory than it is, perhaps.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. It's just not very well integrated, I think.
I think that
but
they
what-
failed to explain how to release each attack. I kind
Yes,
of had to
I think
figure
you're
that
right.
What are you talking about? You just
on my own.
go up, down, then up.
Have
But it's
any
like-
of you ever tried to light your own flatulence on fire?
No.
I
No.
was led to believe by a lot of media that that's something that all boys do.
No.
Mm-mm.
Don't want to burn my ass.
I don't know if this is an urban legend, but I remember hearing when I was a kid that there was somebody that tried to light their farts and like their sphincter contracted and it sucked the fire up into their colon.
Oh,
I
that
don't
must have
know
been
if that's
Mikey
true.
from the Life commercials.
Yeah, the gerbil was in there at the same time.
That's Richard Gere. Oh, did you hear that they pretty much found who was responsible for the Richard Gere rumor?
No.
Sylvester Stallone. He
Oh
hated
my
Richard
God,
Gere.
of
And so he
course.
spread that at all the parties.
All the clues were there all along.
That gossip.
Uh-huh.
But before Richard Gere, it was told about someone else.
Yeah.
I remember learning that.
Yes.
Who?
It's any kind of like effete or like kind of fancy lad.
Oh, yeah. They like to put animals in their rectum.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because if you like having sex with men, you must like putting anything in there.
Well, it's
Yeah.
more like your mere existence makes me uncomfortable, so therefore I have to ascribe these terrible fucking things to you to justify my hatred.
Jesus
I-
Christ, Matthew. That's my the Mr. Slave. I defeated the meth dealers with the Mr. Slave attack and was like, oh.
I should apologize to you in advance for the Mr. Slave content that's in the later game, John. It's not good. It's pretty
You can make
offensive,
it.
actually. That's true. So we learn when we get back to Cartman's kingdom that the Stick of Truth has been stolen by the elves. And it is currently being held at I love the name of this place, the Inn of the Giggling Donkey. Which is where the bard lives, and the bard is Jimmy Vollmer.
I don't want to pass over Clyde's important part in this elf attack.
Yes. Yeah, it's very important.
It's
So Clyde was the one who was in charge of guarding the stick. It got stolen. So Cartman banishes him from space and time.
Mm-hmm. And Clyde's like, you can't do that. And he's like, yes, I can. You're banished from space and time. Basically, you can't play with us anymore.
Wow.
Aww.
Cartman also at one point mentions that he's collecting dues for this game, which makes sense for his character.
Yeah, all the characters have to
There's
pay.
so much going on at the beginning of this game that I didn't really realize that we have not seen Stan and Kyle yet.
No, but they will come later.
Yeah, I was surprised about that because I sort of think of them as the main characters,
Yeah.
and Cartman being a side
I
character.
think it kind of
But I
headed
guess
away
the
from
show
that.
kind of shifted.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Like, we haven't even talked about Jimmy and Timmy and all of the fucking, just all this nonsense.
Well, Jim and I were talking about Jimmy and Timmy and about how while it is kind of making fun of people with disabilities, it's also one of the few shows that has people with like visible disabilities in there, and people with disabilities tend to like those characters. So I find that really interesting and heartening.
Their disabilities, I will say, well, with the exception of Jimmy's stutter, which I think is funny. I'm saying this as a person who grew up with a very
Somebody named Jimmy
debilitating
that has
stutter.
a stutter?
Yeah, I know.
This character is based on you. I think we should just get that out of the way.
But their disabilities are never really the butt of the joke, with the exception of the stutter.
I think that's true. I think the disabilities are often the butt of the joke. They have whole fucking episodes
Really?
like devoted to like camps of these kids. The joke is just like, this kid's, can't talk, and it's funny. Well, let's do this for 5 minutes. I don't know. I mean, I understand what John was saying, and I think that's great. But at the same time, like, this is kind of where I was referencing earlier. Like, this show starts to go off the rails of like, you just throwing shit at the wall. It feels like, I don't know.
Well, it could also be one of those things where, like, when I was a kid, there was a bunch of gay stuff that I liked in games that was making fun of gays, but it was still representation. And sometimes when all you have is bad representation, it's still something. Right?
And you can kind of view it positively because it's like, it's a joke. People laugh at it. It's funny. It's good.
Mm-hmm.
It shows that we exist.
Yeah, the show does want you to laugh at them, but not in like a cruel way. I don't feel like. I don't know. But yeah, I did look up, I did Google the reaction to these characters by the disabled community, and it has been very positive. I found an article in, I think, Seattle's paper that was about this subject, and they are pretty well received. So
the Seattle Times, the paper of record?
I believe it was the Seattle Times.
Nice. Yeah, I think like much of South Park, it probably depends on who's consuming the media, and I'm sure that there are people who just impersonate the characters, and then that's the
in
end
a mean-spirited way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I guess like intent is important.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't think intent is always an excuse.
No. But I think in this context,
yeah, I don't want to speak.
It can be. Yeah.
I don't want to speak for a community that I'm not part of. Certainly.
Totally. So we need to infiltrate the Inn of the Giggling Donkey to find the stick, and we do. And so we have to go to the basement. There's some more puzzles here where we can avoid any battles entirely in this basement part by letting Craig in, and Craig sets things up to where we can use our farts to disable the enemies in the room, and then we can use Butters to heal Craig, and he will open the door back into the main floor for us. And when we get up there, I thought this was funny. Cartman is getting the shit beat out of him by a bunch of elves. I thought this was funny.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you try to loot him, he yells at you and tells you that he's not dead yet and you can't loot him.
Mm-hmm. And I do like that Butters suggests that he can heal him, or we can let him suffer a little bit more. And I did walk around and loot the kitchen while he's lying there, because
I do. One of the like character relationships that I really like in South Park is the Butters Cartman relationship, because Cartman kind of bullies him relentlessly in awful ways, and Butters hates him but still kind of wants to be his friend just because Butters is so sweet.
I was so Butters as a kid. Like that's why I find like people mistreating Butters so hard to deal with.
Like even in the we'll get into this in this month's bonus, by the way, patreon.com/squarerootspodcast to hear our South Park themed bonus for this month. It is, even in the episode John picked, is kind of the perfect example of Cartman Butters bullying. It's really funny in that episode. So there's another puzzle here on the main floor where we can avoid. I think we have to fight at least one of these characters. Because there's a character that's wearing like a painting mask that is immune to our farts. So that's a little curveball the game throws at you here.
If you use the fart attacks, which
if you use the fart attacks, which you should not, yeah. Basically, the character is immune to the grossed out status effects. So if you decide to use one of the toilets in the game to poop in, and then you fish the poop out of the toilet, you have a shit nugget in your inventory that you can throw at enemies to give them grossed out. And these types of characters are immune to that status effect.
I did get a badge that put an extra 20 gross damage on my attacks, and that is so fucking handy. Because it also inflicts them with gross. It's great.
I did enjoy using the toilets in front of my other party members who didn't comment on it. But I was upset that in the game you're too short to reach the sink to wash your hands afterwards. So in every bathroom, I used the toilet and then I jumped in the shower and stood under the water.
I like when you do it in front of Butters and he tells you that if it splashes and you get to make a wish.
Butters is great.
Yeah. So we make her... So after we beat these main floor opponents, we learn that Princess Kenny has been kidnapped. And I don't know if I feel comfortable.
Yeah, you don't have to
talking about this. Okay. So we learn that Princess Kenny has been kidnapped. We need to go rescue him. And when we do so, we find him in Jimmy's parents' room, tied up on the bed. There's a kid jumping on the bed. And we have to manipulate the environment to essentially get to him and disable this kid. And then we free Princess Kenny. We make her way out into the hallway, and there's a kid in the attic who has the ladder pulled up and says he's not going to pull it down. But then you can use Princess Kenny. Princess Kenny flashes her luscious bosom at this kid. He lowers the ladder, and then Kenny busts a mirror over his head.
They're so big.
Yeah.
He says tiggle bitties.
Oh man.
And of course what is hilarious about this is that Kenny is a 8-year-old child or however old they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And does not have tiggle bitties.
Yeah. So we make our way into the attic. Kind of the same thing as before. Environmental manipulation. Maybe find some enemies if you want. And then we can bust a hole into the ceiling of Jimmy's room and make our way down there to fight the Bard. How'd you guys feel about this Bard fight?
It's pretty short. I have not had any difficulty with combat yet.
Yeah. This Bard is Jimmy, who does have the stutter, and he stutters when he sings. Even though Scatman Crothers informed me that you do not stutter when you sing. Jim.
That's true.
Wow. Inaccuracy is discovered in this game.
Well,
it's a scat, Jim.
Throw it in the trash.
Dump it. So yeah, the Bard is like he can inflict status effects on you by playing certain songs. He can play the brown note in battle, which if you don't protect yourself against it will cause you to crap your pants. Which that's funny, right? Just so many awesome poop and fart jokes in here. Awesome jokes.
These are fine. It's just I don't know. They don't make me laugh.
They're inoffensive, but they're bland. Yeah,
I don't know that.
You know what? I listened to a podcast about three brothers, and one of the brothers talks about pooping his pants a lot, like to the point where he does it far too much for a grown adult and is married to a doctor. She should really be looking into why he's pooping.
For some people,
Wow.
pooping your
Hot
pants
take.
is the funniest thing that they can think of. And I understand because it involves being out of control, and humor is often about situations where you're not in control and, socially unacceptable thing to do. But again, I just don't care.
Yeah.
And I also feel like this game, in between its like obsession with farting and pooping your pants and also anal sex, eventually you start to ask questions, It's like, why are you spending so much time thinking about butts? What's going on there?
What's the obsession?
It's a good question.
And that's it. That's how the game ends. The end. Next week, we'll be
That's
back
not
to
how
you
the
with
game
our
ends.
next game, something else.
This isn't the end of the chunker.
Yeah, so we
just
battle
keeps going.
we battle Jimmy and we retake the stick, and then we get back to Cartman's, and oh no, it's really late. Our parents are going to be so mad, so we have to go home.
Mm-hmm. And we head home. Our parents are pleased with us for making friends. They're like, "You want to say anything? No? Okay. Head up to bed." You head up to your bed, change into your gym jams, tuck yourself in the bed, and then a light streams through our window. Our bedroom door opens, and in enter 3 tall gray aliens. Bum, bum, bum.
I do.
Nice throwback to the first
I
season
do
of
like
South
the
Park.
gray aliens and their moo 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 moo.
I do like their mooing.
What will happen to New Kid? Find out next time on Square Roots when we play Day 2.
Mm-hmm.
Do we want to talk about any side quests?
Not really. I don't.
I will in my squarely against.
Okay, John. Wait, are there mini games here?
Not really.
The pooping one.
I mean, that's
kind
not
of?
really.
I
'Cause
guess
you don't get anything.
Yeah.
It's just like pound and a
It's
button.
not like it's a game.
Yeah. So I did I am squarely against. Oh, where are we playing to next time? The end of day 2 or something?
Oh yeah, the end of day 2 for
So
the
this
next
will be a
chunk of this.
3-episode
Okay.
series.
Nice.
3-episode
Wow.
series.
Nice. I like those. So I am squarely against the Mongolian side quest. I had to skip the dialogue in this because it was too racist.
I remember the episode that this was based on.
Now,
There's a bunch.
that episode's I thought was kind of clever, but I don't like that character because it's such like Benny Hill level 1960s English racism, which is super. If you are Benny Hill era racist, that's pretty racist.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I'm glad I missed
this this Chinese restaurant owner character is.
Yeah. I mean, I saw it
yikes.
on the map and intentionally was like, I don't want to go by there. I'm good. And I'm glad. I'm glad that I don't know anything about it.
Well, the gist of it is that the Chinese restaurant owner is upset that there's a Mongolian community center or something next
I don't
to
know
him.
that.
A temple,
I don't
guess,
know
of
that you
some
need to
sort.
walk me through it. I avoided it intentionally.
Yeah,
All right.
it's fine. Yeah, don't worry
You know
about
what?
it.
I will say
It's not-
I got probably my biggest, I don't know why, it just tickled me pink. My biggest laugh of the game was when you run across the priest and he tells you that you need to find Jesus, because I know that means that we're going to find literal Jesus, and it just makes me laugh.
Well, he used to have like an Oprah style advice
Yeah.
show, or like a Dr. Ruth style advice
Yeah.
show in the.
You
in
need to
South
find
Park.
Jesus.
I think the finding Jesus thing. Have you
No, I
found
haven't.
Jesus yet, Matt?
No.
It's
I did.
fucking
it
funny.
just
I won't
it made
spoil
me
what
laugh
happens.
because it was like an anticipation thing. Like I was like, I know this will be a good joke, or I think it will be anyway.
Yeah.
We'll see. Who knows?
I liked I will say that I'm roundly for the finding the kindergartners for reasons that John mentioned earlier, because their voices are so cute and they're just trying to play a little hide and seek game and it's funny.
Mm-hmm.
What are you squarely against, Vanessa?
I I'm just roundly for the concept of this game insofar as it involves children playing a live-action role-playing game in their town. Like, it's just really charming. I like their homemade armor. I like their homemade weapons. I wish that one of them was not Cartman.
This game really thinks Cartman's funny.
I mean,
Make
South Park
Cartman
thinks
just
funny,
a
man.
little stinker again.
It's
But
sort of like the Jack Sparrow effect that we talked about with Kingdom Hearts, where
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
you have this character who's intended to be a secondary or tertiary character compared to the straight men of Stan and Kyle, and then he becomes like the breakout star that
Yeah,
everyone
it's-
wants on the shirt, and then suddenly it's like the Cartman show featuring
Yeah, it's breakout
friends.
character syndrome,
Mm-hmm.
where
he's an
like
Urkel.
you have this.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's Urkel syndrome.
Wait, kind of not really, though.
Yeah.
Urkel got introduced later. Right?
Second
Well,
season,
that's-
right?
second episode.
No.
Second
No.
episode? Oh, he was not in the pilot.
It's
It
not
was
the
second episode. I think he was not in the
It's not
pilot.
the second episode. Remember,
Oh, we
I watched
watched
the
it.
first season.
You watched multiple
they
seasons.
went back and I
They
think it was like
went
episode
back
8
and
because they
started
went back
adding
and
it
added
in.
him.
But even that was
Oh.
later on.
Oh, yeah, because he was in
right.
Cold Opens.
But even that's
Yeah.
like 8
Yes.
episodes in.
That's
It's
right,
not
yeah.
at the beginning. But it is. It's Urkel syndrome. You're right. It's
Oh,
breakout
my
star
God.
syndrome. It's, I don't know,
Yeah.
man. And if you don't, I guess if you're not that into that particular character, you're just kind of fucked. Because it's like, well, I guess I used to like this, but now it's something else that I don't care for.
Yeah, I don't
What about you,
mind
John?
a potty-mouthed
sorry.
child. They're all potty-mouthed. But Cartman just, like, isn't interesting. His whole thing is just hating minorities.
I think I said it earlier. Like it just like there was a point in time when like they were able to like this stuff was shocking, but now, and it's been so long since it's been like shocking that you wonder, really, like why is this still going? Like what's the point? It's just the same
Well,
mean-spirited jokes over and over again.
I think it's the same thing as with any, like, long-running children's franchise. Like, you don't watch Sesame Street after a certain age. I think you don't watch South
Yeah.
Park after a certain
you're right.
age.
Mhm.
But more children are still, like, introduced to it when you're, like, 15 or 16
That's a
or
good
something.
point.
And you're like,
yeah, my kids are fucking super into South Park.
Yeah.
Like my daughters.
Yeah.
I think it's, you know, one of the things that I think has kept South Park somewhat afloat is because they've introduced, like, there have been other writers, like Bill Hader was a writer for South Park for a long time, or for a few seasons, I think. So, like, they've tried to keep it somewhat fresh, but it hasn't worked. Just gonna say it hasn't worked.
Yeah, you know, I don't know. I have not really tuned into anything new that they've done in a long time. For all I know, it's fucking brilliant.
I've tried and I was embarrassed sitting in
Wow.
my own home.
Hmm.
Ugh, God, remember the PC principal stuff?
Cat was looking
That's
at
when
you.
that is well beyond when I was watching it, but that's when I was like looking at it and going like, "Oh, you guys have really fucking lost it. Like this is sad. This isn't even like it's just sad. These are sad jokes." Anyway, Johnny,
All right,
what
well,
are
yeah.
you squarely
Yeah,
against?
John
Did he?
went first one to
The
go.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Taking a bold stance being against racism.
In an effort to stay positive, I'll be roundly for the ability to clear fields of enemies with in-game, in-level mechanics, however you want to describe that. That's great, and I want that added to every RPG from now on.
Not every game needs to be a challenge, especially single-player games. When you're playing as an adult, our time is limited, our patience is limited. You know, we're not going to school every day to talk about, oh my god, how did you fare against the Orc King? What tips and tricks do you have? I don't want to talk to other people. I want to be left alone. Let me play a video game for 12 hours, be done with it, and go to bed.
We do have an email this week, right?
Yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah, this is a great email, and I would love to talk about it, and I'm surprised that you brought it up. Jacqueline,
Oh
right?
God, is it about Taskmaster?
Hi, Vanessa. Thank you for introducing me
All
to
right, guys, I
Taskmaster.
gotta go. I got COVID. I'll see you tomorrow. Good night.
No, that's about it. She just says that she loves Taskmaster, is on Series 5 now, and loves the podcast. Welcome, Jacqueline, to the Task family. Your task is to continue to enjoy the show Taskmaster, and your time starts now. Hey. Pew pew.
Good one. I don't know if that's a reference to Taskmaster, but if it is,
It
nice
is.
work.
I mean, I don't know why you refuse to watch Taskmaster. I watched, so I think you should be Nathan Fillion.
No,
or
you
whatever
didn't.
that show
The
is.
rehearsal? You have not watched So I Think You Should
The rehearsal. That's what I watched.
Oh,
I watched the rehearsal. You can't even watch one episode.
Now we're-
of
now we're even.
Taskmaster. Even for what?
I don't know.
I didn't do anything to you. Wait, I did do something to you. Okay. I will be even for the thing that I did to you, which you probably don't even know what it is. And of
What was
course,
it?
like every male-female friendship, your job is to figure out what you did wrong without me telling you.
I'll just be ignorant.
Except in this case, it's what I did wrong.
Yeah, that's true.
I didn't
All right,
shoot
well-
that werewolf, and I made you stay up too late.
Oh, that's right. That's okay. You don't have to. You don't have to apologize for that.
Well, see, I knew that's what you would say, so now we're even.
All right, well, that's it for this episode of Square Roots. We did plug our Patreon at the top, but another benefit of being a patron is that whatever level you subscribe at, we do like to thank some of our patrons on the air. I'll kick us off.
Get into that, we should, A, maybe actually plug the Patreon, and B, mention that we changed our Patreon bonus for the month because Matt has COVID.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and as
so,
COVID, he can't play a video game because his little thumbs is weak from COVID. He has a rash on them.
Yeah, so we've decided to change it up. We are no longer playing Beyond Two Souls this month. This month, we are all picking our favorite or most tolerable episode of South Park, and we will be discussing these episodes on our July bonus.
I just kind of picked one. I'm not claiming favorites.
So yeah, that's what you can expect. Like we said before, if you would like to be a patron, and you are not, if you'd like the ability to vote on the games that we play on the show, you can sign up at patreon.com/SquareRootsPodcast. I'm going to kick us off this week in thanking our patrons by thanking Mike, Seth G, Abortion Rights are Human Rights, Your Platforming is Bad and You Should Feel Bad, No Pithy Profile Name This Week, I'm on Break, Dr. Fine, Say Everyone's Name, Jake Dickerson, Angel, Xehanort is bald so Remy can't control him, Sexy Grandma's Boy Toy Is, Adam H, Chris Ryan, and Wawa Weewa.
Wow, wee-wah.
I would like to thank John Scala is dreaming of a Dr. Stephen Stone 5-hander to completion. Tracy the Board Queen.
Oh, my.
Megan Sullivan. Chad Wilson. Citrus C. Justin Rash. Ari Kopovara. Kingdom Hearts is D's. Okay. David Shook. Andy Smith. Oh, hey, it's Amanda P.
And I would like to thank William Westgard, Johnny's Pete impression, Coke Zorro, Aidan Marriott, Ward Childress, DeJethro, likes big boats, they cannot lie, Alexander Jokic, Teen Wolfhard Bumpkins, 69 Love Songs, CharityWater.org, and David Arnold.
Now, David Arnold's the character from, oh no, that's Kevin Arnold from Wonder Years.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
David Arnold is a real person and does not need to live his whole life being compared to Kevin Arnold from the
Right.
Wonder Years.
Right. Remember when he only could talk about cheese? That was the only French he knew?
When David Arnold didn't know French, yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
I'd like to thank Jason Tibbs, Kyle, Nathan Poirot, Mostly Rational Person, Cerberus Minotaur, Darth Goofius is the true villain, David Green, Rachel, Ian Frederick, Hang It Up, Nicholas Moriarty, Jesse's Bob's Pizza, and Cyril DeWolf. And don't forget to subscribe to Rubber Bear's OnlyFans.
All right, everyone. Well, that's it for this episode of Square Roots. If you'd like to send an email to your favorite podcast host, You can email them if you'd like to send an email to us. You can email us at, you can email us at squarerootspodcast@gmail.com. Come see us at our Facebook group, the Square Roots Podcast Group for smart, cool, very attractive people, or find us on Twitter at SquareRootsPod.
And don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes, Ghana, or wherever you listen to podcasts like Maleficent does. And thanks to Stephen Morris for our Square Roots theme. You can find Stephen on Twitter, Beige on Beige, and on YouTube. Links in the show notes.
If you're listening on Spotify, enjoy. I've said so many times that we have other episodes out there somewhere.
Yeah, but
Every
every
somebody's
listener.
first episode.
Yeah,
Every episode-
exactly.
Okay, let me get it together. I'll do it for real.
Okay.
Hey, Spotify listeners! If you're
Wow.
enjoying the show,
So much
remember
positivity.
No,
that you can find our back
burning my
catalog
COVID
on
away. It's amazing.
Spotify.
Yeah. Vanessa's a
out our
ray of
episodes.
sunshine.
Our
the sun has
RSS
come
feed,
out.
or wherever else you find podcasts. Okay, bye.
All right, everyone. For Square Roots, I'm Jim Banks.
Matthew Van COVID.
I've been Johnny Brandon.
I love this. Seriously, I'm so fat.
Bye.
Is that a good Cartman?
No, I didn't know that's who you were trying to be.
I'm very fat, little boy. Seriously.